Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Tuesday show. My name is James Chen, and I am joined once again by Mr. Ultra David and Mr. Tubaware. How you guys doing?
I am doing great. I've played Mortal Kombat today. I played Gunfire
Whoa.
Reborn yesterday. I played Guilty Gear over the weekend. It's been a good time. Oh, I'm Metroid Dread, of course. I've been having a great time with that. So yeah,
I
I'm doing
haven't
well.
even.
How about you, Tubbo?
I'm swell. I did a lot of those things that you did, minus Mortal Kombat. I don't play that one, but the rest of them, played all those. Feeling great.
I see you're here as a representative from Stark Industries, so congratulations on that one.
Well,
Here's what we're going to be talking about. As you can see on the right, we're going to be talking about the Strive patch. Guilty Gear Strive has some changes. You may have heard about that. We'll give our thoughts. We'll talk about that for a while. We're going to have guest Coach Steve on here. Going to be pretty cool. He's a cool dude. We'll have a lot to talk about. We have a bunch of 5-5 matchups to get through. We were submitted a ton, and a lot of them are good ones, so we're going to give a bunch of time to that. We also have some other game news to talk about. There's tournament results to talk about. There's sadder stuff to talk about as well, as we'll get to later on with the loss of a couple community members. And we have a big mailbag as well. So let's get to the first topic. Bam, up here on the side. Guilty Gear Strive had a patch.
what? No way.
It did.
I didn't hear about it.
They even said that they were going to have an October patch like months ago.
What?
You didn't hear about that? Wow.
No.
Wild. Anyway, yeah, they announced what the patch notes were. Then the patch came out. What do you guys think before we sort of go into the details? Do you have an overall feeling of how the patch is so far?
Well, David, what I think is that after the show, everybody should go to our YouTube page and listen to my video on patch note etiquette, because many of you out there have no patch note etiquette. But now that we're past the note stage, we've played the patch. Say whatever you want. Go bonkers. My first feeling on the patch is it's exciting. It feels like a new game, honestly. I mean, the sole bad guy you played 4 months ago is not the sole bad guy you play today.
That's true.
The Faust you played 4 months ago is not the Faust you're going to play today. And you can go down the whole roster basically and say that. So that's my like knee-jerk first reaction is it's really exciting.
The way that I've described the patch to others, I feel like they took the training wheels off. Like, I feel like that there was this game here, but we were playing it all on training wheels. And then they were like, all right, you're good enough now. Let's take these off. Go. Because I really feel like the game has gotten wilder. And I'm just absolutely ecstatic that the patch was largely buffs. That it was mostly buffs. I mean, again, we just saw a lot of situations where, again, I hate saying it because it sounds like I'm talking smack, but Grand Blue, the first patch, when it came out, took away a lot of the fun. But that did not happen with this one. So, a lot more routes on the air combos, for example, and just characters getting opened up. I mean, Faust is a beast now, and, obviously some people are complaining about some of the nerfs to characters like Chip players and Axel players I've been hearing are sad, but I still think they're still pretty strong. We'll see after time moves on and such, but it seems like that ArcSys is being pretty responsive to what the general impressions are, because it feels like the characters that needed a lot of love got a lot of love, and even characters that needed love and got love didn't get that much more love. Like Eno, right? She became super strong after the first patch, and now they were like, you know what? She's fine. So they didn't do much to her. And so, I don't know. I just feel like it's a really aware and there's some of the, like, I'll talk about my favorite change in that patch. I mean, I think we were asked that question last week, but I do know what my favorite change is about the patch, but I'll save that for a little bit later. So
Yeah, we'll get into the details shortly, but my initial impression of it is definitely positive. And this is as somebody whose main character did get some nerfs. One of the characters who got nerfs in Axel. I have a positive view of the patch overall. It's obviously there are changes to the game, right? Both in characters and in terms of how some of the system mechanics works. But it's also like the same game anyway,
Yes.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And I am cool with that. I like that. Like, I liked how the game was. Again, some of the things changed, but I liked how the game was, and it's still like largely that game, and I'm happy about that. They have like an idea about how they want the game to go. It's to be a high damage game. You're not to be given that many defensive tools. You're trying to figure things out in the middle, and that's the kind of game that I enjoy. It's not exclusively the only kind of game that I enjoy, but I do enjoy that kind of game. So I'm happy about it. I really like that happened. And while they, again, like they did have some nerfs, they had some buffs to characters. I feel that it's a reasonably well-balanced situation. I mean, maybe some of them aren't the ones that I would have necessarily picked to get some buffs, but especially given the history, I would say, that people have identified for ArcSys, in the sense that they sometimes will make changes that people think are pretty weird in terms of character mounts. I don't really feel that way. Like, if they're not, they are not game ruining choices. You know what I mean? Like, they're not choices that make characters the ones that you need to play. They didn't vitiate anybody. So I'm happy about that. Overall, I'm pretty positive about it.
No, that's a good way to put it.
You sure they didn't designate any characters? Those are the characters you need to play?
I don't think you need to play them. I think that they're probably clearly very strong.
I don't think so.
No, man.
Well,
I don't know, man. Ram and Nago are pretty strong.
Obviously, those are the two that we're talking about, yeah.
Right. Now, here's the interesting thing, though. Obviously, Nago is very strong. Ram is a different story. But Nago, and again, I mean, Tubo's already done this, so I'm going to do it too. But, if you go watch that 10v10 that's on our YouTube channel right now between Korea and Japan that I got official permission to restream, very good kind of early look into what the patch is. There was one match where Nago fought the Faust, and it just looked like Nago couldn't do anything. I feel like they did a good job. I feel like Ramathal obviously has a lot of like, whoa, what the heck? But at the same time, like Faust, like you read his patch notes and it doesn't seem like they changed a huge amount, but he's so good now, dude. It's crazy. Like, he's terrifying at this point.
Well, let's talk about the system stuff, and then we'll get to the character stuff. So in terms of the system stuff, they, as we talked about last time, they mentioned a couple things that they were going to be looking at, and they did change that stuff. So in I'm looking for the patch notes here. I had written them down.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, one of the early ones we can talk about is you even mentioned that they're not giving a lot of defensive options, but they did improve faultless defense, right?
I think that's the biggest system change. Yeah. For sure.
Because now basically, whenever you,
what was that?
I said either FD being improved or the throw RC going away.
Fair enough, yeah, for sure.
One of those two are the biggest change. But yeah, FD is definitely up there.
Yeah, I mean, FD pushes people away more, and I think that really has a big impact. So, we'll go more into the characters in a bit, but for example, Axel got some nerfs, and my read on that is that with the new FD, he can more often push himself out back to neutral. And from that position, if he were still the same as he was before, could be like maybe stronger than they wanted him to be. Also, Nago gets pushed out more, right? And so maybe they buffed him with that thought in mind. So I think that
does he get pushed out more?
I mean, that's the idea. I think that
in theory.
I think this is their idea. Let me phrase it that way. I think this is their idea.
In theory, yes, I agree. That was probably the idea.
Yeah, so that's a really big one. I think that's cool. You mentioned another one. The throw RC OS doesn't work the same way anymore. Now you get RC if you land a throw.
Yeah, you can RC at any point in the throw. And day 1 and 2 on the patch, I had so many people doing throws and not getting any damage on me because they were RCing too fast. Oh, it was funny. It was real funny. Maybe confused and just drop the whole thing, and I take no damage, and they lost a bar. I was like, yeah, good job, idiots.
I mean, to be fair, the beautiful thing about that is you can still do the OS, right? It's just that if you throw them in Roman cancel now, you have to do a combo afterwards. And normally the combo you can do afterwards will get you more damage than the regular throw. So you still get a little bit of a benefit. The trick now is you always have to spend the meter, and that makes it more fair, right? Because you could still save yourself from the whiff. You still get a benefit for actually getting the Roman cancel on a throw if you're aware of it, but you always lose that bar, and that's what makes it good.
Yeah, I definitely agree.
Yeah. Yeah. I have nothing to add to that. Yeah.
And then another thing people in the chat are mentioning too is that, the faultless defense doesn't add extra block stun anymore either, so you don't get people trapped.
Yeah, the penalty for it in that sense is not the same. So it's just a better defensive technique. It's still not like a huge. It's not a situation saving technique very often, but it's super important, and you have to know when to use it. And I like that about it. It's like other interesting defensive mechanics in other games where you just have to, rather than being able to rely on it easily, you have to be able to know what is intended to come after it, or you have to be able to react to something or whatever it may be that you're expecting to come, and then you get the utility out of it. And so I like it. It relies on game knowledge to be effective. And when it's effective, it's definitely effective. I like that. I think it's nicely balanced.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then what's interesting too, my feeling on one of the other system changes, if you're okay with me moving on to one of the other system changes, was the jump slash and jump heavy slash being buffed a lot. Right now, everybody can air dash cancel those, and everybody can double jump them. And now when they counter hit air to air or air to ground, you get the counter message on them, so you can confirm damage easier, etc., etc. It's interesting because you can see that they really want to stay away from the individualization of those mechanics, because in old Guilty Gear games, whether you could jump cancel a jump attack or however you gatlinged anything was just on a character per character basis, right? But even though they know that the jump slash counter hit buff and double jump buff would probably help Axel a lot, which is why they didn't like say we just won't let Axel do that, because they actually kept everybody in there, even so much to the point that because Milia had the special ability to air dash cancel everything, they felt like she didn't have enough of advantage, and now she can air dash cancel things into an air backdash, which nobody else could do. So, it's interesting. Now, the air Gatling system mirrored the ground Gatling system, but now that's not the case anymore, because before it was only kick into dust, slash into heavy, etc., etc. But obviously now the air is a lot more freeform. But that is one of the big changes that opened up a lot of characters and really started leading to a lot more damage. Like Faust has these crazy jump H, air dash jump H, wall bounce into juggle combos and craziness and stuff like that now. And so a lot of interesting routes. Yeah.
Especially for Faust. And just to kind of build on what you were saying, James, with the new air routes, everybody was asking for a more open Gatling system in Strive. All the veteran players like, I don't like the Gatlings, which understandable. It's, been that way for 20 years or whatever, right? But they did something really interesting, I think, especially as a Mei player. They opened up the ground Gatlings for a lot of characters too. Like, for example, Mei can close slash into 6H now rather than just heavy. And with other buffs to her, she can now 100% people that have like 40% risk. So, but obviously as a Mei player, I enjoy that. But where I'm going with that is like a lot of characters now have different Gatlings that they didn't have before. And I don't think you could have used the old Guilty Gear Gatling systems in Strive. They would have to change defense completely, essentially. But what they did do is they opened it up in a way that makes sense in the context of Guilty Gear Strive. So I think that opening up the ground Gatlings as well as the air Gatlings, like you said, they took off the training wheels. They were kind of like, okay, fine, go play Guilty Gear. And now I'm not sure that the Gatling system can really be much of a complaint. It's pretty open now, I think.
It's funny because, like, I mean, we haven't gotten into individual changes here, but one of the things that goes along with that training wheels comment was when the game first came out, and I used to 6P people with Potemkin. I was always like, man, why don't they let me cancel this? Why does Potemkin get nothing and I just get a 6P and that's it? I want to go into Heat Knuckle. And now that I can do it, I'm like, oh, that's why. I'm like, because this is broken. Okay, got it. Okay, all right, I understand. Because seriously, that 6P, I mean, not to get into individual stuff just yet, but that 6P change was, like, it opens up a lot of stuff for him.
I think the last thing that I want to mention is not a system change. It's more that for several characters, one of their changes that it seemed like when I first read the patch anyway, that they were doing was to reduce damage, right? That some of the moves would do more damage scaling on stuff. And I read that and I was like, oh, the idea is that across the cast, characters are going to be doing less damage. And
was that the idea?
No, it wasn't. That was absolutely me just reading what I thought was in the patch notes. And I thought that played out. No, it's not the case at all. A lot of characters.
I read them the same way as you did, so don't feel bad. But no, that was not the case at all. People are hitting hard.
Yeah,
definitely.
But I mean, in terms of individual character. Oh, and by the way, I have heard that most people's connections are a lot faster. Someone, I think it was from Europe or South America, told me that it went from like 2 minutes and 30 seconds to like 30 seconds. So.
It's reasonable now.
For me, it was maybe 30 seconds. It was under a minute, for sure, at least.
But I mean, so I will ask the question now. What is your favorite individual change to a character in this current patch notes, in this current patch? Because I know mine. And if I could just start if you want me to.
Yeah, go for it. You're going to say 16.
Go ahead, Go ahead.
Dude, Baghead Afro. Faust is the most genius thing possible because it just makes sense. Like, he gets the afro and then he throws it with the bag head, and now it bounces across the screen, and if you block it, it guard breaks you. I mean,
you have to avoid it.
In a match I think it was RF or Nage, it was one of those two against the Korean Gold Lewis player. Whenever he threw the afro out, the Gold Lewis player, Sky Bandy, would run and try to pick up the afro. So the Faust player couldn't get it. Like, that's how annoying it is. And so, like, it's such a cool change because it's like when they removed Dance Infinite from Street Fighter V, they just did it in this genius way. And so when they added that he gets the throw and now he throws it and it guard break and it bounce, I was just like, chef's kiss, dude. I love it. I love it, dude. It's so good.
Good solution. It's practical. It's creative.
Yep.
Yeah, I agree. I like that one. I like that. I think my favorite, like, individual change has to be all the videos that I see of people being pissed off they got one touched by Mei. That's my favorite change.
The Latif video, you mean?
That's right. I saw
it. Let's not forget about Big Left just accepting it, just going, but she's nerfed, right, guys?
That's right.
It's amazing stuff. Yeah, no, I think being able to Gatling close slash into 6H is a good change. Man. That's and for nothing. I mean, I also like the way it changes properties to wall bounce and such, but
that's weird
just
because
overall 6H changing is
because close S into 6H is a universal Gatling. Did they just prevent Mei from doing it before?
She couldn't do it before. She could not do it before.
Wow! So they just
she could only do 2K or 5K into 6H.
She couldn't even do standing punch into 6H.
Nope.
5P. Wow. She was unique then before that because that's a common route for everybody to be able to cancel the 6H.
Oh man, Mei is boring. There is nothing ever interesting about Mei. She just does dolphins over and over. People play Mei because they just want a dolphin.
Well, there you go. Exactly. That again, great example. Yeah, like we were saying about taking the training wheels off, dude. It's like, okay, we'll restrict May in this way because it's too good, and then they're like,
Yeah.
whatever.
Yep. Pretty much.
What about
David?
you, David?
Yeah, I've been trying to think about this as you guys have been talking. I don't think that I have a favorite change, and maybe that's because for my character, like he just kind of got some nerfs. He did get a couple of buffs, but nothing that. I don't know. Maybe it's the jump cancel ability on Jump S, for Axel. It's. I like a lot of the changes. I think, like I was saying earlier, I think that many of them are like tuned interestingly. And I think that's true even for characters who were good. Like the changes that they did to Soul, I think are pretty cool. You can do the follow up to the Bandit like on your own. I think is a cool idea. So there were things that I think were good. I don't know that any of them stands out to me though as really being a favorite. For me, it's maybe more just like the sort of sum. But again, that's probably just because my character didn't get the new stuff.
Right.
Well, your character did get a better FD and a better 5K or 2K.
Yeah. The faster kick, maybe rainwater not being counter hit punishable anymore is nice. Like he definitely got some stuff, and I'm not sad about his position right now. For you guys, do any of the characters let me phrase it like this: which characters stick out to you as the winners of the patch?
Nago Ram. Nago Ram, easy.
Yeah.
Well, what about them? Can you talk about it?
Nago gets to just stay in your face all day now. He doesn't pop blood nearly as early as he should. He has several forward advancing attacks that ignore even the new FD. He just keeps going forward, man. And then by the time that, he's gone forward as far as he can go, which is you in the corner, he's sitting at like 95% blood gauge, and now he has the best normals in the game just swiping at you, looking for a counter hit. It's super... honestly... I mean, it's really early to say this, and I'm not going to say he's as good as 1.0 Saul, but it feels like fighting 1.0 Saul in the fact that he's just constantly in your face. It doesn't feel good. Yeah. And it's surprising that it's like that because the new FD actually is really, really good.
Yeah.
It's really, really good. Like, it's definitely worth using the meter now. There's no question. So, yeah, it's just surprising that he's all up in your grill like that all the time.
You know what they should do to him? They should make it so back teleport is also a full blood gauge instead of a half. I think that would be interesting.
And I'm not even going to pretend like I have any idea how to balance Nagoriyuki. Like, that character, I feel like he's kind of maybe in like Guile, Honda, Blanca territory, where if you make them too good, you really shouldn't. It's just one of those type of characters is like, maybe this archetype shouldn't be too strong or it's real annoying.
Yeah.
Because I don't even know what archetype he is, right? Like, he's a brand new character in my eyes.
Weirdo.
No?
Weirdo.
Yeah, he's definitely a weirdo. So, yeah, I don't know. I don't know wwhere I would start with him. Good luck, Arxis. Do a good job. Thanks.
Well, that's why they're the developers, right? We just play the game.
Yeah. I mean, usually I have like a thought though, right? But on this, I'm just like, good luck.
I haven't played against Amelia yet, but I'm worried about that when that comes up. Defending against her seems like it's going to be really, really difficult now with the extra
Play
mobility
Marvel, baby. That ain't nothing.
She seems like she's all over the place. So I don't know. Yeah, I guess we'll see how it is. I just haven't run into one yet.
I mean, I also think it's very important to note that I do believe that Anji and Faust are both really, really big winners of the patch too, because like nobody talks about them as being bad anymore. You know,
Anji definitely, yeah. And honestly, man, I thought last patch Faust was pretty good. So now he's just even better. So,
I mean, because if you look at again, that 10v10, like it was one of those things where that if you won 3 in a row, you lost a life, basically, right? Because there's 2 lives, you had 2 hearts, right. So whoever got the 20 wins would win first. But if you got 3 in a row, you would lose and be taken out because they just didn't want them to be able to rely on one person, right? Okay. So if they could just do their job, and spoilers, but one of the 3 streaks was Korea's Anji player Papaya, who did get a 3 streak in there, and it's cool to see. It's just I feel like the balance again, especially for an ArcSys game, like, when Calamity Trigger first came out, not very balanced. And then when Continuum Shift, the sequel came out, right? Like, then Arakune was like turned into complete uselessness, right? And stuff. It was like they always kind of messed it up. And this is like one of the best patches that I've seen. You were saying it, how like sometimes you see it and you're like, what? But like everything seemed like it made sense. Yeah, that's kind of what I meant by like it was like a really intelligent, it felt like a well-knowing patch. You know what I mean? Like a very aware patch.
Yeah, I mean, I can't disagree so far. I don't know what they're doing with Ram and Nago, but we'll find out. I'm curious mostly as to what their plans are for a patch schedule.
Right.
Are they going to do this every 4 months? Are they going to like change up the whole game every 4 months? Or is it going to be more like Dragon Ball Fighter scheduling, where it's like maybe about twice a year, big things happen, it's maybe like a Street Fighter 5 schedule. Once a year, big things happen. Like, I don't know. They haven't really been clear on that. Yeah, I mean, like, I'm a pretty big fan of like halfway through the year, somewhat big patch, end of the year, big patch. Yeah, I think I'm a big fan of that, but too often is not a good thing. Yeah. I think that hurts games more than helps.
Go ahead.
Can you talk about what you mentioned Ram and you mentioned Anji? What about those characters are you happy about? Just for people who haven't.
Yeah, I mean, so Ram, she just got a lot more options now. For example, she has that Rekka move that wasn't particularly strong. You could dash cancel the first one, but after you dash cancel, you couldn't act right away. There was like a little gap there. Now she can dash cancel the first two Rekkas into a dash, and she can act right away, so she can do like sweep, Rekka, plink, quarter circle forward, plink, dash into sword, so she can go Rekka, sword. Now you're into the corner. Her overhead move is no longer an overhead, but like it's safer and it loops into itself in combos in the corner now. She just got some more options in that situation. For Anji, the Fujin startup is much faster. He couldn't combo slash into Fujin before, but now it's actually a combo. Like you can go slash into Fujin, and Ko is a guard, his DP, the little flying DP, which honestly, crazy enough, I still think is one of the 3 best special moves in the game, even before the patch. It's just that in Anji's kit, it didn't feel broken because there's so much good stuff in the game. But that move covers the entire sky, and now it guard breaks on the second hit if you block it in the air. So you're stuck falling to the ground and you have to land guard break. And now because of the air dash canceling off of the other things, you can do Ko, you're blocking slash, air dash, slash, and like you're just like blocking all day. It's crazy, dude. Like it is absolutely wild as a special move now, and now I think it's properly for sure in its rightful place as one of the best special moves in the game, because when we were playing the beta, like Olaf, when we were playing it, he would get so mad at that move because like he's free to move afterwards. So
I remember in the beta as well, I was telling friends in a Discord how good that move was, and they made fun of me like, you played Marvel, you think that's a good move? I'm like, this move is stupid, guys. It's real big dumb. Here's why. And they're like, yeah, whatever. So, validation.
That Ramlethal overhead move, I'm sorry, is not just safe. It's plus on block, apparently, is what people are telling me. So, there you go. But also, go ahead, David.
I was going to ask if you guys think that any character got left out. Does anybody seem like they're not where they need to be? Are they on too far on the bottom end, or what?
I don't know. It's too early to say, to be honest.
I
actually did get nerfed too much. Who knows? It's too early for me to call.
I think everybody's good now. I don't think.
I think everybody's good. Yeah.
I thought everybody was good since day one. What is good? Yeah. What is good in the context of games with excellent? Cool.
What I just mean is that I don't think any character came away from this patch like, oh god, what have they done to my character? I mean, I even see someone
man, if you came into twitch.tv/Tupperware the night of the patch, you would have 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 Mays come in there. Woe is me, just absolutely down
Right.
bad. And I'm just sitting there playing therapist, like, look, it's gonna be okay. She's fine. Just wait and see. And then literally the next day, Twitter was filled with one-hit touch videos.
And Flyaway's mentioning Giovanna. I don't know if he's mentioning it or they are mentioning it as a potential character that got left behind. But being able to attack instantly out of the dash, I feel like has made her kind of scarier close up. And she's already terrifying. So they definitely made one of her strengths stronger, in my opinion. So
he's one of my bad matchups, and I don't think it feels that different. I'm going to say that much.
Yeah. I mean,
it's still bad for the same reasons.
I know, some people that we've had say that was the worst character in the game and had no winning matchups, and that we had here on stream.
Tough.
But
those are some tough interviews. I really I didn't mention this earlier. I didn't think about it, but I really like the changes to Gold Lewis. We didn't talk about the changes to guard break. And in consideration of that, they made it easier for him. Well, this is a universal change as well, but it's easier for him to get in. And I like that trade-off of him being less terrifying up close, by a little bit, and easier to get in more consistently. And I saw that he has one of those combos that a bunch of characters are popping up with, where it's basically Marvel 2 style infinites on Sentinel all the way to the corner, and then the wall breaks. But I think those are cool too.
Yeah, I mean, one last thing before we're out of time here. We were talking about the pace of the actual patches. Yeah, I do think that this was they had a patch 1 month and then 4 months after the game is out. These are
about 2 and 2.
Was it 2 and 4? Okay, so 2 and 2 basically. I would normally be no, I don't like this. This needs to stop. I do think in this case it was justified because, like I said, it feels more like they're taking training wheels off and they just kind of let people have a chance. And honestly, I feel without it, there was a lot of talk of people saying that they felt like the game, wasn't as interesting or they didn't feel as freeform and all this stuff. So I feel like that this is just a very, very healthy patch early on. Having said that, yeah, now wait 6 months. Now wait another 8 months for a patch. We can hang for a little bit now and see how it goes as you add more characters. I mean, if you want to tweak small things, that's good, but system changes, let's leave it as it is now and see how it goes.
Axel's still good. Well, don't worry about Axel.
Let's bring on Coach Steve. We can talk more of Gold Lewis Dickinson.
Absolutely, yeah. That's right. That'd be cool.
All right, cool. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we will get Mr. Coach Steve into the show. Be right back. All right, everybody, welcome back to the Tuesday show. We are moving on to the interview segment over here. Let us bring on our guest for the day, and that is Mr. Coach Steve. How are you doing, sir?
I'm good, man. What's going on, y'all?
Nothing, man. Thanks for coming on and hanging out.
Yeah, no problem. I know I was invited one other time, but I think the time frame now is actually better. I think we have more to talk about now than I would have last time I was on the show.
Probably.
Okay.
Yeah, so
there's definitely a bunch to talk about. So let's hop in. I typically want to start by talking about people's backstories. So talk to me about how you got into fighting games in the first place and how you got into the competitive side specifically of the fighting game scene.
Talk to us about Xbox Live 2009 Street Fighter 4.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of extends a little bit before that for shooters and stuff like that. Because I used to try and compete in Gears of War.
Oh, okay.
We had online Splinter Cell, Chaos Theory, Metal Gear Solid 3. All of those are my first ever competitive games.
Wow.
And then I made the transition to fighting games, to put it simply, because playing with a team is kind of annoying. Right. And then I like to be able to just rely on myself for any wins and losses. I feel like it's also just easier to learn that way too, and it's just a more enjoyable experience for me overall.
You always know when a player is really good at games when they're like, I'm tired of relying on teammates.
It gets frustrating because like sometimes you can't really identify what happened, like how your team lost, and then if you're playing with somebody that's also unable to do that, how are you supposed to actually like learn how to improve as a team? So, but I made that transition. Oh, go ahead.
I was about to say, especially if you have one of those teammates that you're like, you need to start doing this, and like, no, man, I'm doing just fine, kind of thing. So
this is why esports coaches are a thing, by the way, so they can identify
exactly
what things are and things like that.
Yeah, because they're pretty much playing Overwatch, right? Like they're like overseeing everything, and then they can tell like who's actually, I don't want to say like at fault, but that's just kind of what it is. Like who's at fault more, or like collectively,
But so when in switching from shooters and team-based stuff into fighting games, there are other genres that you could play that are single player. You could play RTS, for example. What about fighting games was the reason that you picked it?
My brother brought home Street Fighter 4 one day, just on a whim. It's like ran like, yo, there's a new Street Fighter just came out. I'm like, really? Hasn't been one in like I don't know how many years. And then so he brought home Street Fighter 4, and we found ourselves just unable to put it down and just stop playing. We played for like hours and hours and hours. I come home from school, do the same thing over and over again. And then we played online a lot. At least I did, especially. And I played a lot through GameBattles.com, probably like a month or two, like after launch of the game. And I played on that like for hours because it was what I knew as competitive, because it's like a separate like kind of like ranking system. You fight for like some imaginary crown that, so it's like it was cool to me, like that idea.
Do you remember how we met?
I'm trying to remember.
It was on Game Battles. We played in Grand Finals,
right?
We played in Grand Finals for a tournament. Yeah, I was in Vegas. This dude's out in New York. We're playing on Street Fighter 4 on Xbox Live.
Street Fighter 4
Blanca mirrors. That was fun. Yeah, that's how we met.
Yeah,
he beat me in a tournament.
It's pretty ugly from there, but But that's like the start of like competitive, like the competitive aspect for me. I eventually found like forums, and I didn't know Shoryuken.com beforehand. I didn't even know the arcade still existed because I'm this 15-year-old, and to me, arcades are obsolete. So I saw like there was like a lot of like tournament listings for like other states, and I'm like, so there has to be something in New York because we're in New York. It only makes sense. And then I eventually found like a bunch that I can just go to, and then my first one, I got my parents to take me out. It was it was in White Plains, New York, so like not in the city, like sort of upstate. And I got second place there, like my first offline tournament.
Okay.
So it was nice. I was upset because Grand Finals kind of got my ass beat, but.
Do you remember who it was? Do you remember
Grand
who it was?
Yeah.
Oh.
And his name was Grand Calc. It was Blanca Balrog.
I know Grand Calc. Yeah. I lost to him at an Evo in Street Fighter 4, if I'm not mistaken.
Wow.
Yeah, and funny enough, I put him in loser's bracket of that tournament first round with a broken controller. And then I end up getting 4-0 reset on the Grand Finals and then going home upset.
Just because I'm assuming your brother's an older brother, right?
Yeah.
So I just have to ask, because I'm also the younger brother and kind of had this. Did you get to a point where your older brother couldn't beat you anymore and he just didn't want to play?
Yeah. That's exactly how it went. That's exactly it. It got pretty bad after a while. And then,
Because your brother disappeared from the story all of a sudden.
Disappeared.
Here comes a new rival.
He entered that tournament too. He played Vega. But vanilla Street Fighter 4 Vega was pretty. It was pretty bad.
That's a tough way to go. Yeah.
But yeah.
Were you competitive before video games, or was that the start of it for you?
No. Even like sports, football.
Yeah, sports. Okay. You played other stuff too.
Yeah, and pretty much anything I do, even in like school, just like I don't really care how I do most of the time. It's like, but I have to be like better than the next person. Like I always just carried that mentality.
Yeah. I mean, obviously you're talking about this starting with Street Fighter 4 and you're talking about how competitive you are. But one of the things that, I know about you is that you play damn near everything, right? And you always like jump into these games and like immediately are doing crazy things. I forgot if it was like Injustice 1 or 2 that like you were blowing everybody's minds early on with, was Grodd, right? I think it was Gorilla Grodd.
Injustice 2 was Grodd, and Injustice 1 was Aquaman.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, how do you like adapt so quickly to so many different fighting games?
It's a few things. So like, there's always something that you can take from one fighting game to another. A lot of times it's multiple things, and then that kind of like, in a sense, like cuts down like your training time and stuff like that. You're looking for certain things, like how you can apply like certain strategies and from one game to the next that you've seen be successful. And then like, you can kind of fill in the gaps in training mode and stuff like that. And over the years, like, training mode has gotten better for the most part. For some games. And then it kind of just allows you to do like a lot on your own. And then as long as you're willing to try and apply what you practice instead of just like fishing for a win all the time, that's not really like gonna help you, then you won't stunt your growth. Like, you'll actually end up learning a lot faster.
Well, but you play a lot of games, not just like back to back, but like simultaneously, right? Like, I mean, you've been a top competitor at the same time, like at least 3 or 4, and keeping your mind on all of those and remembering everything in all of those, that takes a lot of work, or that takes a lot of skill. How do you manage to do that?
It used to be a lot harder, I think, because like I started like juggling, like when I just started juggling like 4 or 5 games at once. That's when I like got like the hardest. But since I usually have like a good training group within like each game, it kind of like helps me like make sure like my focus is just like, okay, I'm playing Injustice, not Street Fighter, or I'm playing Marvel 3, and then like so like all my movement's different. Like, and then like I'm thinking team based versus 1v1, and then like just having like the higher level, just like, yo, remember you're playing this game, like, all right. And then like after a while it got like a little easier, and then like I started like remembering more things. Transitioning in tournament became a lot easier because like jumping from Injustice 1, which is like a really slow paced game, to Marvel 3,
right?
It's like that's a huge jump, but it got a lot easier as I kept doing it.
Okay.
I still remember when
I still catalog of like the games that you have competed in.
I'm sorry?
Give me a little catalog. Like, what's the storyline of which games that you played?
Storyline. Okay, let's see. Yeah, Street Fighter 4, Street Fighter 4, all versions. You can say, I guess. Yeah. Marvel 3 as well. More so Ultimate than Vanilla. I just wasn't that good in Vanilla. It was like one of the harder games for me to grasp. Then MK9 as well, but not as long because I didn't really know of the scene like that, and the online wasn't that good. Then Injustice 1 was a lot better also at the time, and then the Street Fighter Cross Tekken. And at that time, I was playing pretty much all of those like at the same time. That was around like 2013, 2014. Then what do we got? MKX came out in 2015, so we all put Injustice down for the most part. What came after that? Street Fighter 5, somewhere in there. I think Street Fighter 5 was in 2016, right? I think.
Yeah, that sounds
2016.
Right.
Did you ever like? Did you play ever like any of the 3D games, Tekken, Soul Calibur, or any of the anime games before DBFZ and Strive? Did you?
I did try Soul Calibur 5. Play Soul Calibur 5. I played Soul Calibur like more like when I was younger, and I liked it. But Soul Calibur 5, I tried to play like a bit more competitively, and I had like a lot of help too from Woes, like wins a bunch of tournaments, top 8 at Evo. And at the time, I was living in Philly, and he was living in Philly too. So I got like a bit of training from him, like a good understanding, and Fab as well, because he's just strong in just these kind of games in general. So I did get like some good help in that. But the online just didn't feel that good to me. And then like I'm playing from like my dorm in college, and then like over time it just got like harder and harder to play.
Yeah.
You played Pokken. You were one of the
Pokken,
few like mainline FGC players who like really took that game seriously.
Yeah, Pokemon was a really fun time. I enjoyed being with the community.
Yeah.
We had like a good local scene when the original TO stopped. Then I took that on to keep it going because I did enjoy the game a lot.
Okay.
And then a lot of them started traveling, and some of them were at one point like the best Pokemon players in the country. So I was really happy about that. Really proud to see that.
Yeah, I think it's really cool that you have tried out so many different games and so many different genres. Obviously, in more recent times, like James said, DBFC, Strive, other stuff even later on too. That's not something that you commonly see, right? A lot of players will have like a subgenre that they prefer, and it seems like that's not the case for you. How do you pick a game to play?
I mean, like, just as an example, like Tokido, who used to play everything, he only plays one game now, right?
Now he only plays one game,
yeah.
But that game is a good one game to just play, and it takes a lot.
You can make some money, and it
does take a lot.
Yeah, but I'm sorry, David. What was your question again?
I think to answer what David said, I just love fighting games in general. I think that's just what it comes down to. Every time I pick up something, I'm like, there's a good chance I'm gonna have a lot of fun with it and try to take it at least to like a better level than like beginner intermediate.
And also, I mean, I was of the belief, the old school belief, that the more games you play, the more things you learn from those games that can help you in other games. So do you? Yeah,
exactly.
Does that happen to you? Like when you learn the speed in Marvel 3, that actually even helps you in a slower game like in Injustice 1.
I think they all can tie in like at some point. I learn a lot from every fighting game. And I think if there was ever going to be a point where I were to just settle down to one game, I think that would be like a really strong one game for me.
Mm-hmm.
Not something that you're planning to do, huh?
Not at the moment. There's no one game.
Not trying to settle down.
Yeah. There's no one game right now that I can say I love the most that I would just put down everything else for it.
Okay.
Because like a lot of these newer games now, they are really fun. And I
was about to say lies. You're gonna tell me you wouldn't put everything down for Marvel 3? If Marvel 3 got rollback and a whole new resurgence, you wouldn't put everything down for Marvel 3? You're a liar. I don't believe it.
There's a chance I might not do that.
Damn, that's wild.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
I don't believe it.
Moving a little bit towards the modern games, obviously we're going to talk a little bit more about DBFZ, as you can see in the little topics list down there. But, you've been playing a lot of DBFZ and Strive recently, right? So what is it about those games that have been able to keep your attention for so long?
Initially, DBFZ, I hated it. I thought it was one of the worst games I ever played in my life. That was one game that through their patching eventually got like a lot better, to the point where I think it's one of the best fighting games right now to be out. And then Strive is like a rare case where you guys were mentioning this before, like like about like patch cycles and stuff like that. This is one game that was good out the gate, in my opinion. Minus like a few characters and stuff like that. This is one of the games that only took like one patch, like, or 1.5 patches, really. It's like they're really onto something, and I think it could last a long time.
So in other words, you actually really enjoyed this October patch then right now. How do you feel about the atmosphere of the strength of the characters and such?
I think it's overall a strong balance, and obviously there's going to be a lot of things that we all need to learn about the game, because I do think it's a lot different from what it just was before this month. But the overall character balance and the system mechanics, I think, help a lot more characters than it hurts. And which is good, because now there's not like let's say like Soul was just like, people were saying like 2 tiers better, when the game first came out, which is crazy, but it's not at the same time, because he was that strong. Very good. And now that's not the case really anymore.
Right. And
well, who stands out to you as a winner of the patch, or winners of the patch?
There's a few. I think the top 3 I think are easily Nago, Ram, and Milia. Yeah. But then there's like Faust is he's my favorite Guilty Gear character. I just didn't think he was good enough to really compete. So he's like a character that I'm definitely just like looking into like learning.
Yeah, you should play Faust.
Cool. Yeah, I think so too.
Not Leo.
Actually.
Never Leo. Just Faust.
Leo. Leo's still the same. Leo's still the same, really, to me. So, I'm not really too concerned about that. Trying to think who else. Anji also is pretty scary right now. Like, being able to hit confirm into Fujin from your better buttons is really important.
Yeah.
So, I think that's huge.
Well, let me ask you this question.
Characters, but I can't over it right now.
Let me ask you this question. Is Gold Lewis overrated or underrated?
It depends on how you rate him.
Okay,
I think he's not that good right now.
Okay,
really?
Okay.
Yeah.
Before the patch, how would you have said?
Before the patch, I thought he was good with, like, he had, like, those hard matchups. If they were to actually leave him, like, the same, or just have, like, the 2P buff, and, like, with all the air changes and stuff like that, the way they balanced out the rest of the cast, he would have been in a really good spot. But the universal FD change, I think, hurt him more. He gets his pressure before is just like, albeit it was obnoxious, it was his reward for being very slow and you somehow getting pushed to the corner against him. But now you get pushed out a little bit too far. And in a game where you get meter for literally inching forward, that means you can almost always have FD.
Listen, Gold Lewis got what he deserved.
I see. Tell me more about what he deserved.
He got what he deserved. He
I'm
deserved
upset about that set.
I'm upset about Jump D, all right? I'm real upset about Jump D.
Before the patch,
bro. It's not even him.
Before the patch, Tubo said that Gold Lewis was top 5 in the game. Do you agree or not, Steve?
No, he's trolling.
Cap, you're lying.
Trolling.
You're
trolling.
you know, but you're a Gold Lewis. You're just downplaying. You're downplaying. I understand. You feel like you lost too much. You're trying to get your character buffed. This next patch coming up, but we all know the truth.
I do like the machine gun changes though. I thought that was a really interesting way to give him a way in, and like being able to cancel it, making it faster. I actually think it's a pretty good change, because then it does help like when he's pushing you to the corner, right? Because the machine gun is going to take a lot of meter for you to like be able to FD. So that's like something like really interesting that like it needs to be incorporated more.
Well, what about the bomb? Doesn't that start up faster now too?
No, it's still the same.
Oh, I thought the bomb started up faster.
Yeah, I think a machine gun now is better, honestly. It's faster than bomb when you're at higher security levels. And then when you're at level 3, you get the hard knockdown.
Yeah, I was just to say the hard knockdown, right? It's really good.
Yeah, it's nice. It's a nice change.
So talk to us about what sticks out in your mind about the two different games that we're talking about right now, DBFZ and Strive. They have, I mean, obviously many differences, but like what are the reasons that you like to have DBFZ versus Strive, right? Like in your mind, like what are the things that make those two games unique and good?
I think DBFZ has a ton of diversity. I think it's in a position where you can play pretty much whatever you want to play and be okay. And you hear people say that a lot about some games, but it ends up not being like, the case over time. But I really think that can stick with this game.
Okay. Yeah,
and that's like the main thing.
That was one of the early complaints about the game, right? That everybody felt kind of homogenized, right? And so I feel like that's not even the case at all anymore, huh?
No, there's still things that are like obviously much stronger, but then there's still like a lot of like high tier, like teetering top tier different variations of teams that you can play and still be able to enjoy yourself.
So yeah, I mean,
Strive is like with Strive. I mean, I'm kind of biased because like I've been playing Leo forever, so like I feel like I'm gonna have more fun kind of like relearning how to play the game, and because Leo was a little on the brain dead side. I don't have brain dead anymore, but now that I have just a tad. But now that I have like a lot more to learn, like, and then like playing Gold Lewis like helped me a lot, like different approaches to the game and stuff, like not having a reversal, like I saw, like playing like a little more like tame,
right?
And just learning different like strategies and approaches instead of just kind of aping out all the time and just seeing what happens. Because I like pre-patch, I literally just play roulette, and then it's more in my favor. It was fun. I could laugh at wins and losses, but it was fun. But now I was like, I can't really do that anymore. So now I'm gonna like see what the game really has for me, since this is the first like big patch.
Learning to get in with Gold Lewis would probably make getting in with Leo like free.
Yeah, the transition between those two characters is like night and day. It's so
they're pretty different.
One thing that I think is cool in watching you play all these different games is that you oftentimes play unique characters. And other people who I see play a lot of different games, that's not the way that they do it, right? They'll play similar types of archetypes. They'll play characters that are easy to pick up and make that process easier for them.
Yeah, but Steve, tell David why you pick every character I pick, Steve.
Well, I would like to know, like, how is it that you choose your characters?
The first thing that's the most important to me is aesthetics. I have to look cool looking. Like, if I'm gonna win, I have to look cool.
Okay.
It has to, like, I don't like playing like ugly characters, and our definitions of ugly usually don't match up. But if he's ugly in my eyes, then I'm not playing. Like, I'll never play Captain Ginyu. Look at him.
Cool.
Like, I'm not gonna play like Captain Ginyu or something like that, or like a Yamcha. Like, if you ever catch me playing those characters, I'm down bad. But...
Like silly characters, you don't want to play them.
Not even necessarily like silly, because like I'm playing Nick All-Stars, right? And I'm only playing Patrick.
Okay.
So like, yeah, and like I play Blanca, yeah. But that's like the first thing. But then like I do have to assess if they can actually like win or not, if I'm gonna keep like playing the game. And then like from there, like, I gotta just probably move on to the next.
Now, we did talk about, we were talking about DBFZ a little bit, and you've just been recently invited to this US versus France exhibition, right? So
so it's actually not an exhibition.
Okay.
It's the US regional finals is being held in France.
Oh,
but it's gonna be 12. It's gonna be 12 of US players, and then the four, like the top four, when that's all done, will be invited to the World Championships. We're still trying to set up something with US versus France, because since we're all there, it'll be like pretty like easier to do. And then we have more players, probably get like an 8v8, 10v10, who knows. Okay. But yeah, that's pretty much like how that's going to go.
Now, obviously, the last time, Damascus kind of had this little pop off, talking about how France is better than the US and everything like that. Where do you stand on this?
I think France is very strong. They're definitely very strong. I watch them a lot, especially a lot more now. I think they also play a lot more, and they do play cheaper stuff for the most part. That's not anybody's fault, you do what you got to do. But I think this time, if we were to play in an exhibition, I think just having more practice players would be like the hugest difference. Like people that are just constantly training, like, we have myself, Legendary Pred, Nitro. Sonic has also finally been playing again.
Okay.
And like I think just having that practice really helps. In that 5v5, it was pretty clear that I already knew how this would go. Like, there are four of the 5 players are just not really like up to practice, and I'm like, you can't really expect anything else.
Yeah, that was not the USA's best 5 players.
Yeah, at that time, no, definitely not, definitely not. But it is what it is. I mean, it's over. They got their pop-offs. It's fine. If it does happen again, I'm glad I can be a person that can make a huge difference. So there is that.
Are rivalries like that things that motivate you?
I love them.
Okay.
I love them. It kind of keeps me like in check. It's just like to make sure, like, I'm really on it with training, because like I have to be better than this person. Otherwise, there's no point in being rival if that's not what I'm trying to be.
So when you're looking for a rival, or when you find a rival, is it typically somebody who's like a person, or is it a scene-wide like US versus France kind of rivalry?
Well, I can just answer this for Steve. Clearly, he's working so hard to make sure that he's better than me and me alone. Has nothing to do with anyone else. He just has to be able to beat me.
I see. How's that going?
Yeah. For him, pretty well. Yeah.
Pretty well.
Yeah. I don't. Like I said, so rivalries are supposed to be 2-sided, not 1-sided.
Oh.
So
you don't have a rivalry.
So I'm actually just, kind of just here, waiting for you. But like, let's say like back then we had me versus Flux and stuff like that, which was a huge rivalry back in like the Marvel 3 days.
The
it
very
was good for the
famous
both
match.
of us.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
very, very famous match. Air throw reset.
Yeah, that one. That one always pops up like once every like 2 months on Twitter. I'm like, oh, there it goes again. But like rivalries like that, they're good for both players or everybody that's involved because like nobody wants to lose if you really consider it like a rivalry. Nobody wants to lose. Like US was very upset when they lost for the most part, and that's because like we're upset that we like overall we didn't have our best representation. They didn't practice hard enough. And like because we're representing our country, so we're just upset now. Like they're like, oh, we should have got somebody else should have been there. I've heard all of it already. It's like I usually try and keep like neutral and like whether you guys want me there or not, I wasn't there. I had no control over this. And I'm just as upset as you are.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Now,
I think rivalries are just it's helpful for growth, which is why I really like seeing them.
I mean, I feel like rivalries are one of the most important things that drive success. I mean, you've seen it. There's just so much evidence of that in FGC history. Whereas NorCal versus SoCal, West Coast versus East Coast, US versus Japan, US versus France. Like, I feel like it's such a driving point. But
it's really good.
I do want to echo a question in the chat over here. Trini asks, "Have you been playing Melty Blood? Have you actually been trying the new Melty Blood game?"
No.
No,
I think that game looks pretty dry, so I'm just like,
really?
Would you say it has no drip?
Yeah, honestly.
Melty Blood dripless. You heard it here, Coach Steve.
The coolest
Melty
character
Blood
in the
dripless.
game. The coolest character in the game for me is Coma. Like when I was trying to play it, like that's who I was trying.
Sure.
But like, I'm just like I don't really see like the aesthetic appeal is just never there for me. The gameplay itself looks really cool. I think like watching it in motion, I think it's nice to watch and fun to watch. It's a grimy game, but it just looks boring. Like these characters just look boring.
Oh man. So yeah, I know Spooky's gonna ban you from all the NLBC events.
That's fine. Yeah, that's fine. But like I said, I can watch the game because in motion, I can put that aside because like the mechanics are cool. Like the it's very fast paced, but it's not gonna keep my interest.
Interesting. Okay.
You're like the class of player that's more cool with NRS style aesthetics than anime.
That's sick, yeah. But sometimes NRS falls victim to gameplay being ass, but like, yeah, the characters are sick.
Which is your favorite NRS game of the core 5, right? 9,
Injustice
10,
2. Injustice 2, bar none. Yeah, I don't think there's anything close.
Okay.
Like I know I hate like the Atom and stuff like that. You know, but it's like the game itself. Like that's one character in the game of like 40 something, 50 characters, and then like it looks cool. It plays really well, in my opinion at least. Yeah. It got like a good amount of mix, neutral.
Yeah.
I think it's overall like one of their best done games.
It's got incredible
and a lot of content for everybody. Honestly, it has a lot of content for everybody.
One player
That's true.
stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. For somebody who you mentioned earlier that one of the things that drew you to other games was character diversity. That game is full of it.
It's full of it. Yeah.
So I mean, as a person who's played so many fighting games, if someone was like, all right, you have to name one. What is your favorite fighting game? Like, if you had to get trapped on
if I have to name one, it's gonna be Marvel 3.
Come on,
Okay.
But like, if I were to get a second choice, also it would be Street Fighter Cross Tekken.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Okay.
All right, man. Well, cool. Thanks a lot for coming on and having a conversation with us. It's been really interesting.
Well,
no problem.
Let me get my last question. The question I ask on the way out to everybody: where did Coach Steve come from? Did you coach people before in the past, or?
I've been saying to Coach Steve, that's a funny transition. It started as a joke, because like I'm generally very helpful towards people. It's like just call myself Coach Steve, just fun, just out of nowhere, right? And then I went to like a big tournament with that, right? It was an NEC, and this is the NEC where I ended up beating Knuckle Dude. And the name, it's very rare for people to change their gamer tags, right? Because whenever they try, it doesn't ever really stick. Yeah. This one just stuck, and I'm just like, cool. works out. Nobody's asking really too many questions. There's no confusion. Just like, all right, we can go with this one, kind of roll with it.
Everybody gets pushback. They want to.
Yeah. Everybody gets pushed. Like, you can't do that. And then I'll have people that still call me insane to this day, right? So it is what it is.
Yeah, you're definitely still insane on my phone.
Yeah, I'm insane in Bum's phone too.
Insane. That's right.
Cute.
Yeah.
That's cute.
Where can people find you, your socials and everything? Where can people watch you, your content?
You guys can find me right below at Fight Coach Fight on Twitter. And I'll be streaming in like 20 minutes some Nick All-Stars on twitch.tv/I'm Coach Steve.
Patrick got buffed.
No, he didn't. It's still too slow. It's still too slow.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
All right, man. Thanks a lot for coming on.
We'll try to make sure to
sure.
raid you after this is done. So if you're
Appreciate
still going,
you
so
guys.
all right, sounds good.
Thank you guys. Have a great show.
Steve.
Please talk about
Thanks for coming on.
KOF. I love that. I love 15 right now. So.
Oh, nice. Okay, cool.
Yeah, I can't wait. Take it easy, guys.
All right.
Later,
peace. Ooh, we've got a potential KOF main here, huh? Okay.
He managed to make the name transition. It's so many people have tried and so many people have failed. And what's
people
remarkable
choose.
is that like he did that after having been a well-known member in the scene. Like after having like had really good results and people knowing who he is.
The people chose Coach Steve. It wasn't his choice. He just did it randomly, and the people said, "Yep, you're Coach Steve now." That's the only way it can possibly work. Because the opposite is the people saying, "No, you cannot change your name."
Yeah.
So yeah, he just lucked out.
All right, cool. Let's move on to the 5-5 matchup, where we take questions from viewers, have them vote on which ones we're going to talk about, and then discuss them.
And this time we're probably going to do 3 questions. Not much news going on, so we'll just... And there's a lot of good questions, so let's go ahead and try to get to as many as we can. And I will set up the poll while David reads these all to you.
Absolutely. Number 1. Wow, this is a long one. Should the FGC and game developers be making more effort to archive old patches of fighting games?
It's actually 2 different people asking basically the same question. That's why it's so long. Right. There's a slash in there to separate those 2. Yeah.
Number 1A. Should the FGC and game developers be making more effort to archive old patches of fighting games, partly as a historical record, partly a resource to study fighting game development and balancing? B. Big system mechanic patches are great, but should we be worried about old versions being lost to time? DBFZ, for example, was rendered a completely different game by many of its patches. Number 2. After watching SFL JP and seeing the stats after the match, would it be helpful to players to get certain stats after an online match? For example, amount of times the jumping attack hit you, hinting at focusing on the anti-airs, or amount of times the opponent counter hit you. Number 3. What is the fighting game that did the most for the FGC? Third Strike, ST, Marvel, Tekken, or something else? For me, it's Marvel 2. That's when I noticed and cats were beefing who's best. Exclamation points. Great times. Exclamation points. Though the Diego parry in third is so famous. 4. Now that we've turned the rollback corner, how do we get developers, publishers to understand the importance of crossplay? GGST is still not crossplay with PC console. Melee has no crossplay. KOF 15 is only PS4 5 crossplay despite being on 6 platforms. Question number 5. How often do you experience burnout with fighting games, specific games or in general? What do you do to address or combat said burnout? Number 6, Street Fighter, Tekken, KOF, or Guilty Gear out of the 4, which franchise do you think will come to an end first and why? And then lastly, number 7, would you be interested in the no patch format for fighting games along with the normal patching, like how card games have standard and expanded formats? All right, are you good with the poll?
Poll is set up. You can type in !1, !2, etc. all the way till !7. If you are a subscriber, you can type in 2 choices. And as normal, Tubo always uses his 2 votes for the same question instead of spreading the love.
What a genius.
All right.
It's ranked voting, and I ranked number 1 and nothing else anything.
And Flotas, if you did that on purpose, I'm not sure, but it's supposed to be ! and then the number. I don't know if you just typed it too fast or something. Just in case.
I have made my own choices.
Dang, 2 questions are winning out by a lot right now. So we already know what 2 of the questions is. It's the 3rd question that, well, no, actually things are catching up here. Things are catching
There's a clear
up.
top 3, then that's what we're going to go for.
Yeah, we should just go for those 3.
There's 3 and 4 are super close right now, but I can stop it right here and just, there's only been 26 votes, so I'm going to let people keep voting here for another 10 seconds just because of the delay on Twitch and stuff like that. So get them in now. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Nobody's vote. Okay, let's do this. Close it. The number 1, it's going to be 3, 5, and 6. So what is the fighting game that did the most for the FGC is the first question that we have here. Let's get that on the screen for you guys. And start the timer here.
Let me just solve this question. The answer is Street Fighter 2. Nailed it. Got it.
Humans.
Street Fighter 2 is the answer. Congratulations to me for having solved the puzzle. That's the answer.
Yeah, it's pretty simple. Pretty cut and dry. There is no...
All right, but obviously that was
nothing to
implied.
argue.
That was implied.
Yeah.
So what's second place after the one that actually created the FGC in the first place?
ST was in those choices, man. I don't know. I don't know what else to say. They listed ST.
It's not ST
for sure.
In fact, I'm not even like, as much as I love Street Fighter 2, I don't know. I might actually have a different game that would.
Well, in my eyes, ST is Street Fighter 2.
No,
Right.
buddy, I'm talking about Street Fighter 2, the game that launched the fighting games as a big competitor.
I get that. Yeah,
Super
but
Turbo
that
is
is
the later one that literally
still
10 people knew
Street
existed
Fighter.
throughout the rest of like
Still
nobody
Street
knew that
Fighter.
game existed.
Honestly, like, real talk, Street Fighter 4 might even be tied with Street Fighter 2 with how much it changed the FGC and how important it was to the FGC. Because, again, I know not a lot of people agree with the concept of the Dark Ages, from 2002 to 2008 or whatever, but Street Fighter 4 was what turned fighting games back to a mainstream genre. Like, nobody was making fighting games anymore. And because Street Fighter 4 was also the first one to start becoming nationally competitive, like, if you think about games before Street Fighter 4, they would come out, tears be damned, and some character would dominate, and Capcom would just be like, this is cute, and just like, whatever, or all the companies were like, whatever. Street Fighter 4 was the first one that went to Super. It started getting patched. They were trying to make all the characters better. It was the game that thrived during the beginning of streaming. It really popularized that concept and rebirthed the genre so much that all the franchises came back. And now we have this situation where every game is actually like trying to be balanced. I really do feel like Street Fighter 4 is probably one of the most pivotal games in the history of the fighting game community. It was the face of the game. And again, that GameStop tournament really opened up a lot of people's eyes. We joke about 09ers, but there's a reason why we joke about it, because Street Fighter 4 brought in so many people into the FGC. So even with Street Fighter 2 obviously being, it's the one that created the genre and everything, but I feel like Street Fighter 4 is almost just as important.
Well, I'll one-up you here, James, and say Street Fighter 5 is the most important launch in the modern generation because they fucked up so bad that people went, maybe I'll try Tekken and Guilty Gear.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll try that Unio game over that. That can't be any worse.
I'll
try anything now.
I'll do one better than you. Why is Gamora?
That's basically what I was thinking.
Yeah. Oh, man.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I actually do think that was like a pretty pivotal moment. Like, all joking aside.
It was.
I think the shitty launch of Street Fighter V really led to other people playing more games, spreading out. So, thanks Street Fighter for 3 times being that game that we needed.
I guess that's true. Yeah, I hadn't thought about it as like 3 times. As somebody who... I feel that SF4's role in the rebirth of the FGC is overstated. It's nevertheless obviously super important. So I think that the answer is Street Fighter 2. But second place is Yeah, it probably is Street Fighter 4. It probably is Street Fighter 4. At least in the NA FGC, I can't really necessarily speak to every region, but for us, and definitely for at least many other regions, SF4 had a really important role to play. Definitely. I mean, I think other games were in development not around the same time, or the development started before SF4 actually came out in some cases. So I think that like the idea that it brought fighting games back is not really real. It's just kind of like they happen to be coterminous in time, more or less.
I think it's pretty real, man. I don't think anybody would have played BlazBlue if Street Fighter 4 didn't come out. To be real, like
I mean, like BlazBlue was out, MK9 was in development. There
Yeah,
had been a KOF.
but again,
there had been a Caliber. They just weren't good launches, unfortunately. So I feel like that. Again, SF4 is very important. I do feel like it's a little bit overstated, but it's probably my number 2 overall. Yeah.
The way that I see it, though, because you remember when MK9 first came out, there was the tournament that Justin and Flo and Li Joe and Mark, man.
I remember that, and they had to play on those PDF sticks or whatever.
PDP sticks they were. Yeah.
PDF sticks.
Would that tournament have even happened? Was it not for the GameStop stuff that Street Fighter 4?
It wouldn't.
Right.
That's what I was kind of pointing out.
Too.
That
not, yeah.
Nobody would have played this shit if it wasn't Street Fighter 4 didn't come out.
Not
competitively.
Everybody would have. Everybody would have played Mortal Kombat.
Everybody buys Mortal Kombat, but competitively in tournaments, nope. Would not have came back to it.
I think they would have played it in tournaments. What wouldn't have happened, and I think what James is talking about, is that I don't think that there would have been the sort of esports take on it.
Yeah.
Right. I mean that the funding to get people involved. I mean, a major mover behind the PDP tournament in the first place was a longtime FGC guy, even in the first place. And I'm sure convincing everybody in whatever rights holders he needed to get on board with that was not easy. So yeah, I'm sure SF4 had a big impact on that.
So I want to address 2 things in the chat. One, Canadian Ed asks the spicier question: hyper fighting versus Super Turbo in terms of impact. People have to understand that nobody played Super Turbo. Street Fighter was dead.
Fighting. Yeah.
Street Fighter was dead when Super Turbo came out. Like literally in America, Super Turbo. Like people think Super Turbo and Third Strike must have been just like everybody's in the arcade with how much we talk about those games. Those were 2 of the most dead periods of Street Fighter in Street Fighter history. Those 2 games, which is really funny actually. But the other one is 16-bit talking about Smash. Shouldn't Smash get a huge shout out? I mean,
okay, for sure.
I would say yes, but obviously I've been trying to convince people that the scenes should combine more. Some people, it's such a separate path that like I can't say that it had necessarily an effect on the greater FGC. Smash.
FGC.
Yeah. Smash had a great impact on Smash. Is kind of how I see it, basically. And that's not me trying to be mean or keep them separate. I'm just saying that's just kind of the true nature of it, right? They grew up in very different environments. Fighting games, there is the console fighting game life of the Smash players, and there is the arcade-born FGC that came from Street Fighter and Mortal Kombat and Tekken and such, and they do carry very different kind of mindsets.
Yeah, of course, Melee is one of the most important fighting games of all time. I mean, there's no doubt about that. Yeah. But I don't know that it has. I don't think you could say that it did the most for the FGC as a whole. Yeah, I think that's right.
All right.
But yeah, Smash is gigantic. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Yeah. And again, interestingly enough, I mean, it was kind of a combination of the FGC existing that brought Melee back into the limelight, right? Because they've talked about that in the documentary that Evo money drive was a big catalyst for a lot of the Melee being reborn. So
it saved Melee, straight up. Yeah. Let's not even sugarcoat it. It straight up saved Melee. Melee was in trouble before that.
But yeah, Smash.
I mean, I'm not being mean. Like, it's just fact.
No, I get it. Yeah, Smash is certainly much bigger than the rest of the FGC. Like, I don't mean that just in sort of the competitive sense, but like the game series Smash is ridiculously huge. So
Yeah,
Anyway,
absolutely.
we move on. We move on.
And Smash Ultimate might be one of the greatest video games ever created, frankly. So.
It's up there.
Dude. Yeah.
All right.
Yep.
Let's go to question.
I would not want to
number-
be the guy making the next Smash. I'll put it that way.
Oh
Nope.
God. I can't even imagine that. Like at this point in time.
Oh,
they
if
should
I was
just-
Nintendo, I just wouldn't. I would just like upgrade it, put it
Yeah,
on the new
right?
console every
That's-
5 years.
I was gonna
There's
say
no,
the
you
exact
can't do better. Maybe give it like some more characters every 5 years, but like you can't do better.
Dude, I was gonna
That's
say the
it.
same
They
thing.
nailed
Dude.
it.
Just keep updating it. Like here's
They
the
nailed
next
it. It's
generation console. Just keep doing it. So
All right.
Yeah.
All right. Well, here's the next question.
how often do you experience
burnout with fighting games? What do you do to address or combat said burnout?
I mean, it's an interesting question for me because I don't know if I would call it burnout, but like I don't play fighting games as much as I used to. But I think I'm not burned out on it. I think that streaming life has just made it harder for me to play fighting games because, you know, I definitely enjoy playing fighting games in a kind of like a smaller environment and just having fun. Playing on stream and trying to be good and trying to entertain people is stressful for me.
You know, being good and being entertaining aren't always the same, man.
Absolutely right.
Right. And I'm not equipped. That's why I separated them into two different things. They're both very stressful to me because although, yeah, I could be entertaining without being good or being good without being entertaining, like I have too much pride in my history of being good in fighting games that it's so painful for me to suck right now. You know what I mean? Like,
Gotta let that go, old man. This is the
it's-
future.
yeah.
It's
Yeah,
coming
also, you
fast.
don't even suck that bad, I want to point out.
Yeah, that also too. But that's
all right.
besides the point.
All right. So, but what if you do have burnout, right? So we're talking about like you really like to play fighting games, but like now you just something about it you don't want to turn it on. You're not interested in playing it anymore. You don't want to go through the ups and downs of trying to get good, and now you're gonna get worse, and you plateau, and now you're tired of it. That whole process.
I mean, honestly, I think one of the best ways to get back into it is play a completely different fighting game. I don't even mean like a genre, like go take a break from fighting games, go play a different genre. Find a fighting game that you wouldn't expect, because I will say, despite all of the, you know, me saying I don't like to play on stream that much, I still do Soul Calibur every week. Soul Calibur is the fighting game that I have played the most in the past year for free, like not even a question. And it's really kind of reignited this kind of joy in me learning fighting games again. And, you know, like I said, even though I only play once a week, you know, everybody in the stream that watches me play. Now, granted, I get a lot of advice because I get a lot of strong players playing there. So I'm lucky in that regard. But still, playing, like, if you think about it, for a year, like, let's say 50 times a year, right? 50 days in a year playing a fighting game, I should still be pretty freaking garbage. But, like, everybody says that my improvement is, like, they say it's night and day how I started and where I'm at right now. So it's just, it did reignite a lot of the passion that I had in fighting games, learning something completely different than what I've played before and playing something new. Even playing a new character like Dr. Omnipotent is saying in the chat helps as well. So while a lot of people might think the answer is go play other genres and give yourself a break from a fighting game, I think it's more important to give yourself a different perspective on the genre in terms of characters or game style. Like we were talking to Coach Steve, I just think that changes how you look at fighting games a lot. Like when in Street Fighter 4, when I first played vanilla, I only played Cammy. And then when I finally started trying to learn other characters, did I realize how broken Cammy's jumping roundhouse was, right? So, like, you know.
Well, I went through a phase just recently of me not playing fighting games for a while. For, I mean, a good 3-4 months, maybe 6 months even. It was quite a while. And during that time, I wasn't playing no fighting games. I would occasionally play SF5. I played probably only a couple of times SF5, but only a couple of times Mortal Kombat, and nothing else. And then Strive came out, and I played Strive with friends. What the draw for me for Strive, although I liked the game a lot, was primarily just like hanging out with friends, and like that's a fun experience for me. So I like that side of it. That's what kept me in for it briefly anyway. When I when I don't want to play a fighting game, it's not because I get burned out on fighting games. It's because I get burned out on competition. That's what it is. So I don't want to go play another fighting game because it's the same issue. I don't want to go play an RTS or whatever, a shooter or whatever it may be, because it's the same issue. I just don't really want to be competitive for a while. That's rare, and it's only happened to me a small handful of times in 15 years of being, a competitive player or whatever, almost 20 years, I guess. It's happened half a dozen times maybe. So, but when it happens, I recognize it. And I don't force myself. I know that burn will come back, and even during that time,
the soul still burns.
It will always keep burning. Yeah, exactly. Even during that time, I'm still like watching tournaments, and I'm still watching match footage, and I'm still commentating. Like all that stuff is still fun for me, because it's not that I've gotten burned out on fighting games. It's just I don't want to be competitive myself, and that's a different thing, I think. As far as burning out on a specific game, a specific character, the only instance that's happened to me, and I think was in Third Strike, when I just got burned out on Q. I think is what it was. I just didn't want to lose anymore.
You got burned by Q.
Right, yeah.
By Q.
I've said this before, really, but like, I played Chun-Li for a little while just to see like if it really was just the fact that I was playing Q that I hated, and I enjoyed playing Chun, and I got better tournament results with her in 1 month than I had in whatever years playing Q. And so I was certainly burned out on Q for a while. And my response to that was, let's try a different character. I mean, the lesson that I took from that was like, oh my God, I can't believe I've spent all this time playing Q. I'm never going to play this game again. And I didn't play Third Strike for years after that. Now I love it again. I mean, I got back in love with the game, but that took me a while. So yeah, switching characters did give me a different perspective that was very helpful in the sense that it had me just playing Street Fighter 4 and HDR and whatever else was out at that time.
I was thinking about how I could put this, but I don't burn out. I plateau.
Okay.
I don't like get to a point where I'm like, oh, I don't want to play this anymore. I get to a point where if I don't stop playing, I just flowchart over and over again online, and then I go, what am I losing? And then I go, oh shit, because I literally did backdash, jump forward, fucking H 9 times in a row and got anti-aired every time.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And so I don't really burn out because I like playing fighting games. I really do. I mean, obviously some days I don't feel like it and I don't, but most of the time I'm playing Strive 4 to 5 times a week. Like, at least 3 on stream, and then like I'll definitely play on the weekend for sure. So yeah, I don't burn out. I hit a point where I'm not learning anything anymore, and I need a break. And usually that's like, depending on the game, that's when I'll either put it down and play a different fighting game, or I will learn a new character. So I'm glad I haven't really gotten to that point on Strive, and I feel like most days I learn stuff. I mean, sometimes I autopilot, but most days I'm still learning stuff, and especially now with the new patch, it's like, oh, gotta learn everything again. That's cool. So yeah, I don't really burn out. I just get to a point where I am not paying attention anymore, and I need to step away or do something within the game to reignite my brain to be like, okay, yeah, I get it. And that's helped me throughout the years to get past those plateaus that I hit.
It's so easy to accidentally go into autopilot mode. It really, really is. If you just like get to that point where you're not even like thinking while playing. So
I was playing Skyward Sword. I was playing Gunfire Reborn. Probably other stuff. What else was I playing for a while?
You were playing Rocket Arena. You were playing.
That's true.
Oh man, that was like Rocket Arena was over a year ago now.
Yeah,
man.
It has been a while.
I mean, there was that time you were also playing Breath of the Wild and Mario Odyssey.
It's Metroid. Doom. You play Metroid.
I've been playing Dread since it came out. Yeah, of course.
I haven't.
I do go to other game genres.
I finally got it. I haven't started it yet though. So
good, James.
I know. Game. So I mean, Olaf
good.
Olaf is as much a Metroid fan as he is an SNK fan. So he was worried because it's by the same company that made Samus Returns, which he didn't really like as much. And but he loves this game. So I'm ready to play that at this point.
It is a very good game. Yeah. I agree.
But I do, what you had mentioned, David, was something that Shay mentioned in the chat as well. It's the competitive burnout, right? It's just like sometimes you just don't want to be competitive at that point. So yeah, if you do run into that situation, just go find some other things to kind of take your attention away. But I think
Read a
one
book
important,
or something. Come on.
I think
Touch
one
grass.
important thing though that David said, and I just wanted to highlight it because I think it's actually really important, is go ahead and step away from playing the game, but keep watching some of the matches, keep watching the stream, because as long as you watch it and you see the hype moments and you're just like, God, that's so cool, and that has the potential to bring you back in, I think, which is really, really cool.
All right, next question.
Move on to the next one. Yes, please.
All right. So the third question that we got was, wow. Okay, here we go. Street Fighter, Tekken, or KOF or Guilty Gear. Out of the four, which franchise do you think will come to an end? Sorry, I should have probably did more.
Come to and end.
Yeah, come to and end. Come to an end first, and why?
Definitely Street Fighter. And why? Because Capcom abandons IPs.
I mean,
That's the only reason.
Okay.
Yeah, Capcom abandons IPs. That's the only reason. Tekken will never get abandoned. KOF and Guilty Gear are, I mean, they're not, I don't want to say they're low budget, but they're not of the budget of Street Fighter or Tekken type games. And they're going to continue to get made. I mean, as long as SNK exists, I guess. But I don't see why Guilty Gear would ever end. It just had its most successful launch ever of all time.
I think
It's not going to go anywhere.
This is a hot take.
I think Street Fighter, just because Capcom ends IPs.
You poor Mega Man fan.
Yeah, I am 100% a poor Mega Man fan. Yes, that is what I'm complaining about.
11
was like 4 years ago already, James.
Yeah, but it still came out and it was good.
After how long?
Oh man,
They forget about IPs, man. That's the only reason I think it will go away.
I think the answer is either KOF or Guilty Gear. KOF, I think I'm less worried about. I was worried about it just because like the company was having financial woes, and now that's like maybe not happening as much. So that probably won't end then. So my guess is Guilty Gear, because Daisuke is a living mortal, and it will eventually pass away, and that's hopefully not for a long time. But like when that happens, he's such a driving force for that game in a way that just doesn't really exist for Street Fighter. Certainly Tekken, but only to a lesser extent. I feel right with Harada. Daisuke is like he's such a mastermind of that game. Street Fighter has already had all these different producers and directors and stuff like that. That isn't even an issue for that series anymore. So I think SF will continue. I also think that all of these will continue for a very long time. Yeah. I think that we're going to have Street Fighter 10, Guilty Gear.
Yeah, I'm not worried about any of them going away right now. Yeah. I think the fighting game community and at large fighting games are at one of the best places they've been in maybe ever overall. So I'm not worried about any of them going away right now.
Like Daisuke is game balance and character design and music and just all this and in a much more integral way than any of the other game producers. Correct. Well, almost maybe there's a couple and be like Sakurai or something. Even him probably not as much, to be honest. So I feel like once he's gone, I'm not sure if the series will continue, but
he ain't going
that's
anywhere.
A long ways off. No, it's a long ways off. Hopefully, yeah, of course.
I mean, this is the thing, right? I mean, it's not going to be Street Fighter. It's not going to be Tekken. It's going to be either KOF or Guilty Gear. Now, KOF has a huge history, and I would argue it still has a bigger fan base than Guilty Gear does. And the problem with that is just the company, right? I mean, SNK literally has just been like hot potatoed around between all these different people, and they barely had a budget to make 14 and Samurai Showdown, and had to make these deals with Stadia and Epic Game Store, I'm sure, just to be able to keep developing the game and such. So
War Criminals.
Dude, I mean, that's another issue, right? So honestly, from a real world logistical standpoint, I'm scared that KOF is probably the most likely one, right? But David also has a point that KOF will be made even after Oda leaves the company. Let's say that that's not a concern turn. Oda's gonna keep making it. Harada will. He wasn't there on Tekken 1, I don't think, right? I think Harada came in on 3 or something like that.
Oh, I thought he was there.
I'm not sure, but like, I feel like someone can take over for him. But Guilty Gear is Daisuke's baby, and it is only Daisuke's baby. And I'm sure if Daisuke leaves the company, he'll probably say because like, I think that's the reason why there's no Guilty Gear characters in BB Tag, because I think Daisuke was just like, no, like Daisuke has a lot of power over his own franchise. So, I mean, even to the point where, he was voicing one of the characters, writing the music. One of his best friends was voicing Zato. He passed away. He almost took Zato out of the game. Like there was all this stuff. There's a good chance that once Daisuke decides to retire, like let's say Sakurai is done with Smash kind of thing, Nintendo will find someone else to make another Smash game. I don't know if that'll happen for Guilty Gear. I think Daisuke, if he gets to the point where he's making a last game, like he'll probably make a last game and then everybody in the story dies and it's just like, you can't do this anymore kind of thing. So from that perspective, I would say...
salts the earth.
Yeah, basically. I would probably say Guilty Gear out of the 4 just for that reason, because... it's not a franchise that, like, I feel like it's just one of those things that, like, Daisuke is so, like, it's so much his child that, and Daisuke feels like, kind of almost like Bill Watterson-esque. It's like after Calvin and Hobbes is done, like, nobody can touch it, kind of things.
So like you're saying he's like Hideo Kojima to Metal Gear.
I mean... kind of, except Konami still had a lot of power over Kojima, right? I don't know if ArcSys can deny Daisuke this easily.
If ArcSys want to be big fat jerks, they could give him the boot and make Guilty Gear Strive 2 tomorrow. That's their IP.
Yeah, presumably they own the IP and not Daisuke, but I don't know. If I would be very surprised if he actually owned the IP, just from a legal perspective.
Right, of course.
Yeah,
I don't know.
That's what I'm saying. Like they don't have to respect Daisuke's vision at the end, is what I'm saying.
For sure.
They could continue making the games that they. That's why I asked. That's literally why I asked if he's like Kojima, because Konami there's rumors they're making a new Metal Gear game. So I'm just like, well, sometimes even Japanese companies don't honor the memory of those who got them there.
Making new Metal Gear.
There's rumors.
I mean, let's put it this way: the game probably will make sense. But then, will it be a Metal Gear game, right?
Whoa.
You're attacking his hero, all right, just so you know.
Just attack Hideo Kojima's storytelling style. Because let me tell you, Hideo Kojima's storytelling style is genius. Absolutely 100% genius. That man, I will let him write my life story as a book. And he can do whatever he wanted with it, because it will be incredible.
All I know
he's amazing.
I played Metal Gear Solid 5 for a little bit.
Yeah.
I was in a hospital, and I escaped the hospital, and a giant whale or a unicorn or something like that was flying in the sky on fire.
Huh?
And then I'm in the desert.
Yeah.
That's like one of the things I remember about 5.
You gotta play through the game and finish it.
Yeah.
And then you'll understand more.
Sadly, I didn't get that far. So
well, then, that's like watching the first 10 minutes of a movie and being like, I don't know if that lady ever becomes the real true Captain Marvel. I didn't finish it, but let me tell you, it didn't start off great.
Look, I will say this, as much as I joke about it, I do love me some Metal Gear Solid, and it is definitely, I mean, it's the reason why I'm playing No More Heroes 3. Right? I mean, Suda 51 is like on the same level of kind of insanity that Kojima is, but it's
Kojima is very wild.
It's that insanity that when you see it, it's like, it's just, it works. It's like there's just something about it that works. That's why when there was that potential for a Kojima Guillermo del Toro combination for a Silent Hill game, like I was like, I am on board.
Konami gave them the boot. Think about that. Konami said, nah.
My PlayStation 3 is very valuable because I still have PT on there. So And again, if you had never played through PT and you don't know anything about it, I don't know if it's been properly emulated now or something like that, but like it's just one of those things that you have to play. Like it's just an experience that I've never. Oh, is it PS4? You're right, it is PS4. I still have PT on my PS4. And God, people have been hacking that game recently. And some of the things that they've discovered about the game, I mean, like, I don't want to spoil stuff in the chat but I mean, it's 10 years old now, right?
And you can't play it. Just look it up on YouTube. Look up PT. You'll find all the stuff.
I mean, it like not plot wise, because if you play through the game, you'll never know this. But like, people always felt like something was off in the game, and someone's hacked the camera. And it is so there's a ghost, scary zombie dead lady in the game, and she's actually behind you 100% of the time.
The entire time, yeah. The model is spawned right behind you.
Yeah, she's actually just there 100% of the time, but whenever you turn, she stays behind you. And so sometimes she'll cast little shadows, sometimes she'll make noises, but you never see her. There was only one glitch where people saw her for a half a second and people thought it was a glitch to spawn her. No, it was a camera glitch where you would actually see her, what people realized afterwards. But yeah, she's literally there 100% of the time while you're playing the game. And I think that is just, I mean, God, when I first saw that, I was like, I'm never playing this game ever again. I was like, no.
You know who else is there for you 100% of the time when you're playing KOF 15? Heidern. Let's talk about Heidern, James.
Yeah, let's do that. Heidern was kind of spoiled when the box art for King of Fighters 15 was unveiled, because Heidern is on the box. And
really?
Yeah, he's on the cover of the box. So people knew Heidern was coming. And apparently he's on the box because he's going to play a major role in this storyline. He's always been like one of those important figures. So he's probably going to do something really major for the storyline. But they officially revealed him all in 1 week, too, because for a while they've been doing silhouette 1 week and then trailer the next week. But they did silhouette and trailer right away. And so here he is. Heidern's in the game now. So there you go.
Sweet.
All right. He looks cool. I would say that.
I've seen the trailer a couple of times. We haven't done the synchronized show where we've analyzed the trailer because we had to skip last week's. But tomorrow on twitch.tv/jchenzor on synchronized, we will be doing some details on the trailer and stuff and talking about the and breaking it down. And Olaf can tell me if anything changed with the character and such.
Cool.
Also related to KOF is KOF 98 final edition. They announced that it was going to get rollback to everybody, and especially Laban's joy. And Laban being one of the best 98 players, has been playing forever and like in America. But the beta test has started on Steam, and there was a tweet. Was it by Crystal Dynamics? I think it was, or not Crystal. I did it again. Code Mystics. Freaking Code Mystics. I always get those mixed.
Crystal Dynamics.
Stupid brain. Code Mystics. Didn't they tweet there said like, we've been spectating the world and we've noticed people have been lobbying for certain features or something like that.
It was phrased like something like that. Yeah. And it's in the Steam description as well. Something like that. So obviously implying that spectator lobbies are going to be in as well, although they're not for this current patch. Wow. It was gnarly times in James country. It's live right now.
So my cat is sleeping on my lap and my leg fell asleep. That's all. Jasmine hasn't been feeling well. She hasn't been feeling well, so I'm like really worried about her, to be honest with you. She's not eating as much, and one day she was just like puking all of her food and all the water she was drinking and stuff like that. So I'm just keeping a close eye on. And she's been really like just wanting to sleep on me the whole time, which is why I haven't been lifting her up or bothering her.
Oh, baby.
So I'm just kind of leaving her right now. So yeah, she's
okay. I'm worried about her too. Please, keep us in the loop.
Yeah, for sure, for sure.
The beta test period for this again starts literally an hour and a half ago, and it goes until October 29th. So you got a while to try it out. It's 10 days. Look into that. Pretty cool. Awesome to get good netcode.
Pretty cool.
Okay, Smash Ultimate version 13.0. came out. Sora is now available.
Yes, Sora is now available, and the patch with Sora also came with some balance changes as well.
It did. They buffed Little Mac.
Was that it? Did they just buff Little
No, they
Mac?
actually changed a bunch of characters. But I was, I've wanted to play Little Mac. Whenever I play Smash, I play Little Mac, is what I would say. And because he's like the Street Fighter character, basically.
There's literally Street Fighter characters.
Right, no, I was about to say, Ryu's in the game now.
Yeah, but he's a grounded character who basically is just playing footsies. So I play him, I really enjoy him. They gave him some buffs. I assume he's still bad. I don't know, though. We'll see. Other characters got changed, too. I'm not an expert enough in the game to tell you what happened.
Exactly. So, unfortunately, I haven't had a chance to try Sora, so I don't really have much to say about him, but, hopefully
he looks strong. I will say that he looks like a strong character.
I mean,
he looks like he has the stuff that you need to be a strong character in a Smash type game.
He seems like one of those characters that he works as you expect him would out of the gate, and so the things that seem strong are strong, and so it's very easy to start doing well with the character, I think. So.
Just in checking out the patch notes, just briefly, it looks like all the changes that they made were buffs.
Yeah.
So to Jigglypuff, Dr. Mario, Zelda, Lucario, Rosalina Luma, Little Mac,
they're saying he's
Ridley,
busted?
King K. Rool, and Isabelle. Oh, and Incineroar.
So someone
a couple of other things that weren't buffs too, but those are buffs there.
Someone in the chat is actually Flywave is actually saying people are comparing Sora to Day Zero Bayonetta, that he might be busted. Okay. So interesting. Yeah, right. Okay.
Good luck, everybody.
Yeah, have fun. That's it. That's the end of the game.
Yeah, if you're a Smash player, let us know in the chat what you think of. Let us know in the YouTube comments what you think of Sora right now. Let us know if he is kind of busted. So, but yes,
you know what was busted was this video game, Nickelodeon All-Stars Brawl, that you have skipped
past.
Did I skip it? Oh shoot! Sorry. My bad. You're right.
There you go.
There you go.
That game had some of the grimier stuff that I've seen in a fighting game. Well, okay, it still definitely does, but they did get rid of some of the grimy stuff. Okay. So there was a patch note that came out for it. And what's cool as well is that like they've had super open communication with the public to the point
of transparent.
Yeah, very transparent, to the point of like, we're not going to be fixing the netcode quite yet because the person who works on that is on vacation. Like that's.
Yeah. Oh, you serious? Oh, dang.
Yeah,
okay.
Straight up. Yeah, the devs are like in the Discord, just straight up talking to fans. Like, hey, Dave is on. He's on vacay. He gets back in a week and a half. We'll start working on it then. Don't worry.
Exactly.
That's hilarious.
And they, on Twitter had, even before the patch notes came out, they were like, yeah, here's like a rundown of what's going to change. And one of the things was, I think the quote was, Mikey Nair, no longer dumb.
Yeah.
So, that's cool. I really think that's nice. They did make a bunch of changes. The game is definitely still wild and crazy, but some of the stuff, like the way that some of Mikey's stuff worked, some of the infinites that were found, some of like some glitches that allowed some stuff. Apparently, one of the glitches was that Patrick was supposed to have armor on command grab, and like now it's there. So they're changing stuff, and that's cool. Good job.
Yeah, I mean, but again, judging to the conversation we're having with Strive, do you feel like that this might be too many patches too quickly, or do you feel like they're just addressing the clearly busted things?
Oh, yeah, this game is not in the same league as like Strive in terms of balance and things that need to be like. A lot needs to be touched up, and like Big Four Little said in the chat, they did make changes to the DI. I played it a little bit last night, and you can actually feel them like immediately.
Okay.
So that's something that I was complaining about too, like right away. It was too easy to trap someone,
right,
and never let them leave. Like it was very much a one-touch game,
right,
for everyone. If you played anybody worth a damn in the game, one touch you can kill. Feels like you have a bit of more chance to get out of those situations now, which is really, really good for the game. But yeah, I think they have a long way to go. If they want to make it like a balanced competitive game, they have a long way to go. If they don't care to do that and they want it just to be like madness, then they're on the right track. Keep it up. That game is madness. It's really fun to watch.
It is. I agree. All right. We move on.
Yeah, going to some community news here. So it turns out Red Bull He's working on a documentary series about the fighting game community. In particular, it seems like to be about the locations and the specific arcades that have existed. I know some people who are working on this and, help pitched it and get it to fruition. I know when a bunch of people were out here to interview it and stuff like that. So I'm excited for this. I haven't seen this first episode on Chinatown Fair. But actually, do we know where it's at? Is it on what channel it's on over here?
It's on the Red Bull YouTube.
Okay. Which is youtube.com/Red Bull?
I have no idea. I can click on the link for you if you want.
Yeah, I'm trying to look over here. Or do they have Red Bull Gaming or something like that?
I don't know. Search Red Bull on YouTube. You'll find it instantly, I'm sure. Yeah. It's Red Bull Gaming. Yeah. Okay. It's so in this episode they brought on L.I. Joe, Sabin, Kraymore, and Nerd Josh to talk about Chinatown Fair, and then they also had interviews a little bit more briefly with Justin Wong and Sanford, if I recall correctly. So those are important people to talk to, no doubt about it. If you want to get the history of China. Oh, and Henry Sen as well, which is great. That's a great list of people to get on there and talk about it. And they waxed very nostalgically about Chinatown Fair and the arcade era, and the stuff that we all say. Oh, it was a lot of fun. We met people. This was violent sometimes, but looking back on it, it's funny. Whatever. I liked it. I thought it was maybe a little bit too nostalgic and maybe a little bit too heavy on the it doesn't matter who you are. Everybody
you weren't there. You don't
welcome
know.
Here, because not everybody was welcome there. As the fact that they were exclusively interviewing men should obviously give you a hint into who wasn't as welcome there. So that's not really the case, but in many other ways it was obviously very welcome. I was although not part of that arcade. I had my own arcades that had similar experiences, and I did go to Chinatown Fair before it died and played Street Fighter 4 there, and it was cool. It was this very small little place. Dingy as all the important arcades were small, dingy places, right? There was no brightly lit, fancy arcade that was important.
I mean, strangely enough, Southern Hills Golfland might be the closest one because it was actually strangely well lit. It was small.
Was it? Okay.
Yeah, but it was Southern. Wait, you've never been to Southern Hills Golfland? You've been to Southern Hills.
If I did, it was so long ago. I don't remember.
No, Southern Hills Golfland was strangely actually well lit, and the food, the super cheap food you could buy from behind the counter, was surprisingly serviceable for mini golf. For a
lucky
mini
times.
Golf
Actually, I don't think I ever went there. Now that I think about it more.
Dang. Okay. No, yeah. You'd be surprised at how brightly lit that place was. Actually, it was really cool. It was really nice.
Anyway, check out this series. I think it's really nicely done. It's cool to hear everybody talk about their experiences.
Yeah, but I mean, speaking of Northern California scene and everything like that, one of the longtime members of the New York scene, aka John Gordon, aka FlashG, passed away this past week, as well as SFVDon, aka Jay Nguyen, from Northern California. Both of these players passed away within days of each other, and I have just been seeing nothing but obviously heartfelt messages out there for these players, especially obviously from the New York scene for Flash, and the NorCal scene for Jay, for SFVDon. I didn't know SFVDon as well. I did know Flash Gordon. He was just, you can see it. I mean, from my perspective, I like I said, I know him better, so I can speak to him a little bit more. But he was just one of those guys that, you saw him every time you talked to him. It didn't matter if you knew him or didn't know him. He just felt like he was one of those guys who could be your friend. You know what I mean? It was just you talk to him and you could just tell, he would always have a nice word. He would have a nice thing to say to you, etc. That one caught me, obviously they all catch me by surprise, but that one is definitely a tough one because he definitely affected a lot of people in the FGC because he was such a personable and kind person like that. So, and like I said, I wish I could say as much about Don, but just, seeing all the people, Seglia, Hell Pockets, all these other guys from NorCal, just being absolute taken aback by that passing as well. It's got to be a very similar situation for him.
The way I would describe FlashG was like the only reason that I wasn't close friends with him was geography, and like everybody felt that way about that guy.
Yeah.
Like if we lived near each other, I would have hung out with him all the time. He's super cool, super nice. Whenever we did see each other at tournaments, we would always hang out a little bit. And that wasn't super often, but whenever we saw each other, of course we would do that. And he had that relationship with everybody. And and he was super close friends with a lot of people, not just in New York, but he was the kind of guy who was close friends with people all over the scene. And especially if you're somebody of an older age, we all knew who he was, right? Like all of us knew who he was. And that's true for people who are younger as well. He had a lot of friends who were younger, but like especially of an older generation, like we're all friends with that guy. So that one was definitely tough for me as well. I was very sad to hear that. He had a lot of close friends in the scene who have all been saying a lot more. Again, especially people from the Northeast, from New York, but I've heard from people in the Midwest saying the same thing, and other parts of the country too. So that was definitely tough. I wish I could say more about Jay. I didn't know him personally.
Yeah.
My understanding is that he lived not just in NorCal but also in Seattle, and that he had a big impact on the Seattle scene. And that's hard. Yeah. I'm sorry, Shigundo. That's really sad news.
Do you remember what year we did the Street Fighter Cross Tekken? Like it was the Street Fighter 20th anniversary or whatever, and we were in New York for Street Fighter Cross Tekken. That's where we did the karaoke and all that stuff. Do you remember what year that was by any chance?
I would say 2013, but I'm not super confident in that.
Because I know I have a picture that I took of him from that point in time, from around that time. So, yeah. Oh, wait, here we go. San Fran.
While you're finding that, I just want to note that there's a memorial stream that's being put together by Heather Heihachi Gilf on Twitter. And that's going to have exhibition matches for both Alpha 2 and Second Impact. Sean was a big fan of both of those games.
Oh, dang.
So I think that's really nice.
That is cool.
Very, 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 very good idea. And already a lot of the people who were involved are people who knew him well, or people who know those games well, and knew that John was into it. Again, like everybody of a certain age knew him. So Second Impact has like Justin Wong playing, and Lord BBH, and Arlieth, and Comeback, and Saber, and Alpha 2 has a bunch of other players as well. Vicky Viper's in there, and so forth. So check that out. That is going to be on the 24th at 8 p.m. Eastern time.
Cool.
Yeah, I found this picture here. It's the only picture that I have of FlashG here. So I figure I might as well just share this on stream while I have this here for you guys. Where is this? Here we go. This was it was a joke picture that we took because obviously there was Flash Metroid as well, and so they were always fighting on who could be Flash, basically. And so we were at a comic book shop, and that's Flash Metroid on the left over there, and there's John Gordon Flash G on the right, and we saw Flash figures, so they were fighting over who had the right to be the true Flash in the FGC. So
he's a funny guy.
Yeah, he, like I said, he's just one of those guys that so personable.
I mean, like we're at this age where it happens too frequently. It's not going to get any better. You know what I mean? Like it's going to happen more. So it's always tough when it does. And I'm sorry to everybody who knew them better than I did. It's just obviously terrible news. So
yeah, don't forget to to hug your loved ones and let
Yeah.
them know how you feel.
Yeah.
You can go any day.
Yeah, and tell all your friends in the FGC and everywhere else as well. Just, regardless of...
I love you guys. You too.
Yeah.
Hello.
Alrighty.
I do. It's a fine. Don't reciprocate. All right, fine.
Oh, shut up. I tell you I love you all the time.
All right. Yeah, you're right. Let's move on then to tournament results.
Yep. So we've had a few tournament results here. We've had a CPT from East Europe, Russia. This is the one that you were saying where Honda almost won this one, right? Is this the one that you were talking about?
This is indeed the one.
Okay,
Yeah. This
okay.
is the one where Jamie got into grand finals with Honda and winner's side and ended up losing to Papoy Laura, both players in Russia. And it was really good. I mean, again, CPT having all these smaller regions this time is really cool to get a look in on scenes that we don't see quite as often. So I really enjoyed that, not just because Hondo's in there, but because there was a lot of good action too.
For sure.
Good work. So Papoy qualifies for Capcom Cup with Laura.
There was also Super Smash Con Fall Fest results here, where Moist Light took it with Fox. And then in Melee, Polish, I'm not sure which one it is, took it with
Polish.
Peach. Again, wish I could give you a little more insight in that. But if anybody in the chat who's more familiar with the Smash scene wants to give us any interesting information about that event, please feel free and put that in the chat. We'll try to read
More
it out.
importantly, I watched it for Nick All-Star Brawl. I watched
you did?
the grand final.
I did watch the
it.
finals. Yeah.
I did.
Okay.
I did. It was Pink taking it with Aang over Mirror Man with SpongeBob.
From losers.
Yeah. It was a really good comeback. Yeah.
And if I'm not mistaken, Mike was actually banned from this tournament, right?
Mikey was banned because they were playing on Switch and the Switch didn't have the patch yet.
Yeah.
Right, yeah. And Mikey was broken. I mean, he had like one touch and you're dead, like free.
Well, he
right?
also had a bug where you could literally stall the game out and you couldn't touch him.
Oh, okay.
That was another reason to ban him. But yeah, he was also quite stupid.
It was real zany, I will tell you that. But the grand finals, I mean, with zany games, one of the things that sometimes happens is that neutral becomes super important, right? Because you can't get touched. So
Yeah.
I thought that was actually pretty cool to watch. And then the results, just briefly, actually don't really tell a story of like a super lopsided game. Here's the results. Aang, SpongeBob, then third place played Oblina, Leo, and Korra. Then fourth place, Reptar. Fifth places were Ren and Stimpy and April. Seventh places were Danny and Zim.
Dang.
So, I mean, that's as good as it gets.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, how did it feel? Did it have that Marvel 2-esque kind of feel of just being like kind of like crazy?
It's not Marvel. It's
No,
not
but
Marvel.
I don't mean like.
I mean, but you mean like the really good movement? No, it
Well, I
can't
just
have
mean
that
like
feeling.
the game is kind of like all the characters are busted, like Vampire Savior. So that's what makes it good. Is that everybody is busted, kind of thing.
I thought you meant like the emphasis on neutral that David was talking about.
No. I'm just talking about it like.
I think it's far too early to compare it to Marvel
Okay,
2 in any
okay.
format.
Gotcha,
Far too early,
gotcha.
and they're gonna change so much. It's like, what does it matter?
Yeah. No,
Yeah,
I
of
agree.
course.
All right, what else we got?
Dragon Ball Fighters, the World Championship Tenkaichi Online Master Challenge. The USA East took place. That was won by Hikari with Android 18, Vegito, and Android 21. So apparently there's about 50 players, and they're going to get the qualification spot from this event here as well.
Yep.
So.
And then what happened in Japan versus Korea?
So I don't even know if they planned this for the patch, but Japan and Korea. I mean, the Guilty Gear scene has been setting up these 10v10s all over the place, right? There was a bunch USA versus Japan. They had an earlier one that was Japan versus Korea before, and which Korea won that one because Daru made like a crazy comeback at the end or something like that. But they ran another one, and it just happened to be like 2 days after the patch. And so it was actually you would think, okay, well then they don't know dude, these guys were taking advantage of all sorts of crazy new things. And where did David go?
He's gone forever.
I didn't shut him down.
His internet might have blew.
Let me see. Does he
Gone forever.
He's in the chat still.
Yeah, but you can sit in Discord. Your name will sit there for like minutes before it.
Oh,
kicks you.
right. Okay.
So he might just be gone for a second. Okay. But anyways, continue on.
Yeah, no problem. So this is the second This is the second time that they did the 10v10 of Japan versus Korea. And, some players obviously weren't there. XYZZY on Team Korea, for example. No Samito, no FAB on Team Japan and stuff. But they still had some of the craziest players out there. Churara, Kai from Japan. Churara Kai versus -2 from Korea. Both of them Kai players. They played each other at one point in time, and I'm going to tell you, it is the most disrespectful match I have ever seen in my entire life. If you're going to go and try to watch any match...
No way.
Dude, watch Kai mirror -2.
I'm being sarcastic. I know.
Yeah.
Kai players are dicks.
Dude,
they're the most disrespectful players in the game, besides maybe like Leo players.
Yeah, and again, if you want to watch the match, just go to youtube.com/UltraChenTV. The entire 5-hour restream that I did is there. But Clear Lamp was there, Omito. Pure with some crazy character traits. I mean, there's a Jacko on both teams, right? Pure for Japan. They had Huchu for Korea. But on Team Korea, their 10 players were 10 different characters. It was really, really cool. But strangely enough, no Mei, no Ramlethal, and no Potemkin. Like, these 3 characters that were just missing. But I am going to say, I don't want to spoil the score, but it was very close, and it was super hype. Like I said, some of the matches were amazing hype. Crazy comebacks. And then, like I said, if there's one match you watch, -2 Kai versus Churara Kai, the most disrespectful match I've ever seen in my life. Like, seriously, these 2 players were just trying to out-troll each other at some point. And it's absolutely just like... Because I think -2 knows how crazy Churara is, and he was just like, nah, I'm going to be crazier than you. And so it was... I couldn't even commentate the match anymore because, like, it just didn't make any sense. Like, the match just didn't make any sense at all. So
cool. They're on the next level.
Check that out. What do we have coming up?
For upcoming events, is your internet okay, David, by any chance?
It looks like the camera's pretty pixelated out there.
Yeah,
but,
okay.
Yeah, it seems to be back now.
Okay.
Yeah.
But we have some upcoming news. Red Bull Kumite Las Vegas dates were announced. It's going to be the weekend of the 13th and 14th that the Red Bull Kumite, I believe that's the weekend, right? 13th and 14th of November. Yes, it's going to be the 13th and 14th of November. So Red Bull Kumite Las Vegas is the first time Red Bull Kumite has been in the U.S. Should be a great time. I'm a little sad because that's also the same weekend as the Classic Tetris World Championship Top 8. So I'm not going to be able to go to that nor work the event. And in fact, I'm not even going to be able to watch it live because I'm going to be doing the Tetris stuff. I'll be able to watch Saturday live. I won't be able to watch Sunday live. And that
you'll have
makes
a good time there, man.
The Tetris thing is going to be amazing. Tetris is always a lot of fun for me, and it's really exciting. So, but it's just, it sucks that conflicts,
It is unfortunate.
I was so happy. Red Bull, I've always wanted to work like official capacity. Like, obviously we did a lot of the side stuff. We did a lot of the sides work over there.
We did the main Red Bull TV broadcasts for Red Bull Kumite.
I guess that's
true. It was
true.
really the main broadcast.
Fair enough.
On
okay.
Red Bull TV. All right. And then ArcRevo America's registration is now open.
Yeah, this is for the I should have unchecked this. This is for the Americas region, which is it's going to be US West, US East, US Central, Canada, and Mexico are all 5 different regions for this one here.
All right, let's get to the mailbag.
All right, so the mailbag where the Ultra Chen crew answers your questions. Let's get to the first question over here if I can remember where I have it. Let's move that over here.
Mailbag country. Over in mailbag country.
Yep, so
where you've always kept it.
So this is a question I thought was interesting. He got a lot of responses in chat, but I figured I wanted David's opinion on this one, so... Drew asks via Twitter, after which Dune novel should I stop reading?
I would personally say after the third, it becomes not very great, and especially once you get to what his son wrote, it's like not very great. However, it's interesting, like world building. The whole Dune universe is just really fascinating. So if you want to read more about like the history of all the things that are in the book that I won't spoil, then that's cool. But the writing at that point, some of the story decisions are a little out there. The first book is like an all-time great, and then the second is like good, and then by the third you're like, and then after that,
Okay.
read at your own risk.
Now, are you going to try to go see that in the theaters, or are you just going to subscribe to HBO Max? How are you planning?
No, I'll see it in theaters. Yeah.
Oh, okay, cool. Nice. Oops, sorry, I'm just trying to refresh your camera here again, but let's go to the next question. Whoa! I clicked the wrong button on the wrong. I clicked the wrong button at the wrong.
P5.
Yeah.
Whoa.
You're more just like a real wide boy. That's more what's going on.
That's
here.
how I look. Oh no, you've thinned me out again.
Right.
That was my
sorry.
gold.
Oh, look at me! Look at me on my multiple gaming chairs.
That's right. I have a gaming chair back there.
I have so many gaming chairs for my
ESL.
gaming needs.
Why is this?
That's actually
so
parked in front of my
hard to-
3D printer now. You can see some prototypes of the split blocks down here.
Oh, dang,
release
nice.
that.
That's actually kind of neat. Okay. Let's see. What does that do? Okay, that cuts off.
Oh, hey, I'm
Good,
back a
good,
little bit.
Good,
Oh, hello.
good,
Oh, now I'm the thin out.
You're a
Yeah,
thin
but
boy now.
That'll make it
No, you're like
easier for
a
me to
3/4
fix
boy.
that. There you go.
All right.
There we go. We did it. We're back.
We did it,
We're back.
boys. There we go. Okay. Next question. Let's get to this over here. Duck Helmet via Twitter asks, if you read comics, what is your favorite comic book? If you don't read comics, why don't you?
So that's like it's a weird question. It's a weird question because reading comic books doesn't necessarily entail reading like a monthly subscription. You know, like I'm not currently reading the latest run of Spider-Man, but I probably will in like 5 years when it's basically done or whatever the case is, right? When the story is established or when it's done. What I am reading right now is Invincible. And Invincible gets wordy. Lots of very big text bubbles, which I'm not always a big fan of in comic books. Like, for example, Watchmen. Watchmen has not as big of text bubbles as Invincible and says a lot more with the words that are used in Watchmen.
Got it. Got it.
So, I mean, like, it's not to say that Invincible is written poorly. It's just, it's wordy.
Okay.
So it takes a long time to read it, but I'm enjoying it. I do like it a lot. The story's been great so far. Okay. I'm 68, 69 issues in, and I think the run was like 144. So I'm almost at the halfway point.
Okay.
It's pretty good. It's been an enjoyable read. That's what I've been reading recently.
Awesome.
I mean, I don't read comics at this point in time. I just don't. The only.
But what about
real-
manga? I think manga counts.
It's
That's
the
just
same. Yeah.
Yeah, manga
comics.
counts.
Yeah.
I don't read manga either. I just don't read, right? Outside of the internet, I like barely read, which is unfortunate. I mean, but that's the
Comic books,
case.
You're like half not reading, right? Like it's
What's that?
really half. For comic books, you're half not reading.
Yeah, it's
right?
true.
Yeah, you're looking at.
But I mean,
the
let's just put it
pretty
this way. Even before the internet, when I was growing up, I was not a reading kid. I did not like to read very much. So even back in the day when there wasn't even that many distractions, I just wasn't a reading kid kind of thing. So, but the only comic book series that I ever did actually collect, and me and my brother owned the entire collection, and it's still at my parents' house, was the initial Transformers run on Marvel. So that's probably the only one that I can really count. But right now, like I said, the reason why I don't read comics is because I just don't read a lot in general. So it's just how I am, sadly. So yeah, that's it. I mean, I did really enjoy Watchmen. I did read it right before the movie came out because I wanted to read the actual thing before I saw the movie.
Man, I used to read Watchmen once a year, every year, and then I let my buddy John, I let him borrow it, and then he moved from Atlanta to Kansas City
And he didn't
to
give it
play for the
back?
Falcons. Or he moved from Kansas City to Atlanta to play for the Falcons, and then I don't know what he did with it. He lives in St. Louis now. I have never seen that book again. I've asked him about it. He said, "What book?" So I haven't probably read it in like 5 or 6 years, but I used to read it every year.
Ugh.
The whole
Right.
trade.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
very good. I mean,
It's so good.
honestly,
very good.
Watchmen, after I read it, helped me define what I think is a good definition of art, which is something that truly uses the medium in ways that this story or, this artwork cannot be represented in other forms. So I just feel like Watchmen, they made movies out of it, et cetera, but as a comic book, like it takes advantage of everything that you can do in a comic book, that it can be a book as well as have a comic in a comic, et cetera, that
It did, yeah.
no other medium I feel like could represent it to its true core properly.
Man, I liked the movie and I liked the Showtime show. I liked them both. I mean, they're not perfect, but I liked them both. I thought they're
the
good
movie.
enough.
It was pretty good.
The Showtime show was real strong. I'm sad they're not
opening
making a
sequence-
second season.
Yeah.
The opening sequence of the movie was like an amazing 10 minutes or whatever it was.
It was, yeah, and it really
Like
explained
that
right
Honestly.
away. Like here it is.
They did it. That
It
was
was
super
good.
good.
It was good. It was good.
Yeah, I mean, it's why I think Silent Hill 2 is like one of the most artistic games ever made, because the process that it puts you through to get you to the realization of what is happening just wouldn't work in a book. It wouldn't work in a movie. It wouldn't work as a TV show. It only works because you're involved in what you're doing. And especially the way they determined how you get the ending in that game is based entirely on how you play. It's just like, you cannot make that game. You cannot tell that story, which I think is one of the best stories I've ever experienced, read, watched, or whatever of my life. Let's just put it that way. So.
I mean,
All right.
I
yeah,
read
David.
comic books, but nothing that's like currently ongoing. I basically ask my friends every 3 to 5 years or something, like, hey, what's a good series that I should read? like recommend me like some trade paperback to buy or whatever. And so I've done that a bunch. I would say my favorite is the Sandman series, and second is Watchmen, as the classics go, as you guys know. Those are probably my number 1 and 2. I've read them both a bunch. All right, we move on.
First question. This question is from Phil Rufio via Twitter. Favorite Halloween/horror movie monster?
I don't like horror movies, so take that. I get too scared. I don't like being scared, and I get too scared when I watch movies. So
I don't generally like the horror genre, because then horror fans, real horror fans, will tell you this: those movies suck. They're low budget. They're not good. They're intentionally made that way. The majority of horror movies, there are really good horror movies out there, and I hate horror movies. I don't want to be scared. I don't like that shit. I'm not about it. But really good horror movies that are actually good films, I'll force myself to watch because they're artistic and I enjoy that aspect and all that. My favorite horror villain though, I guess Jason Voorhees. I don't know, man.
Whatever.
They're all kind of the same. Michael and
space.
Jason are very similar. Freddy is.
I don't even know.
I mean, they both walk and can't die, basically.
Okay.
They don't use guns. They both only kill with blades, basically, or with their bare hands. They're very similar characters. They just have different backstories. But anyways, yeah, I guess Jason, just because he has a hockey mask on, and
good reason. That's
I
a good
will
reason.
say-
yeah, I don't have a good one.
I'm on
Sorry.
I will say my favorite is Jack Frost, the Killing Snowman.
Oh, man.
Because he's frosting and accosting, baby. That's why. No.
I remember the lenticular VHS tapes that had Jack Frost smiling and then Jack Frost evil. Yeah, I remember those.
No, because the first Jack Frost movie says he's chilling and killing. And then on the second one was he's icing and slicing. So me and my brother and my friend Jason in Investigation Code, the four of us were hanging out, and he was like, "What will we say for the third movie?" And I said, "He's frosting and accosting." And I just thought that was the greatest thing ever. My real answer, I have no idea. We're a bad group of people here because none of us like horror movies apparently.
Yeah, sorry.
So,
yeah, nothing against that stuff. It's just not for me, so I don't have much of an opinion on it.
Yeah.
Same. Sorry,
Phil Rufio. So let's get to the next question. This is from Jiggly Purin. Jiggly Purin. Here is, what was it like for stick users before the age of Mad Catz TE and accessible parts shops? Oh God.
Well. Let me just bring this out for you right here. Just sitting right here. This is what it was like.
Oh, God.
This monstrosity is what it was like. We all had sticks that we built or that other people built for us, or were one of like literally 3 or 4 options that were being sold. It was a very different time. And once this came out, totally different story. It was much more accessible. I mean, but before, if you wanted to play and you were playing on stick, which basically everybody was, and you didn't have yours, like good luck buying or borrowing somebody else's. There was no standardization. Everybody's was different. Dude. And if you would often go to an event and a crew would show up that had like 2 sticks for 5 people or whatever. And so it was like very common that tournaments were delayed because you had to wait for somebody to finish playing on a stick that somebody else was going to use after that.
You're up. Justin Wong and Justin I can't. Yipes is using my stick.
Dude, that was very common. And sometimes you would get matches between people who were using the same stick. And so then they would have to be like, all right, well, who uses this stick and who borrows somebody else's stick? And it was just a real different story. It's much better to have more standardization, and shout outs to Mad Catz for starting that off.
And again, people don't even realize it sucked back then, because even in the arcades, it was a very different thing. We had octo gates. We had circular gates. We had the joysticks that didn't have the cherry switches, that they were the true 360 joysticks and stuff like that. You had the joysticks, depending on the arcade, would have different tightnesses. And, like a lot of the old school players still like their joysticks. So that's like basically a workout, basically. And none of the home controllers could replicate it. I mean, like I said, I had one joystick that I bought from KB Toys that I got mad and punched it, and that was the end of the stick. Like, I punched it, like, not even that hard. Like, it was just a standard, like, bam kind of thing, and it was done. Like, that was
not even that hard. I just put a hole right through the faceplate.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of did, because that's how crappy the materials was for this thing. But I mean, honestly, there was no homogeneity. It was miserable. The fact that these new joysticks have gotten everybody to get used to using square gates, to using convex buttons, all these things like that.
Square gates? Really, what are you talking about? I'm Octogate, baby.
All right, all the smart and normal people are using. I mean,
that's actually fair, because Hanzo Gonzo and I use Octogates, so that's a lot.
I mean, one of the problems, obviously, is that because you use Octogates, and again, this is not saying anything about you, but like, it makes it harder for you to share controllers with people.
Goddamn right it does. I do that. Hey, can I borrow your stick? Yeah, sure. It's Octogate. Never mind.
Yeah, exactly.
It's what I wanted anyways. I don't want you to use my stick. Get out of here, you bum.
And in fact, joysticks were also so they were so important to have, that 2 of my $200 Hori sticks that you could only buy from Japan were stolen from me at FGC events because I left them on a table too long, and someone's like, "Is this anybody's? All right, I'll use it," and then they just keep it forever, basically, at that point. So, yeah, it sucks.
All right, let's move on. Yeah, it was a different time for sure.
All right, so next question over here comes from Juan Flores, and this is, what's your favorite non-FGC related thing to do during downtime, and when's the last time you were able to do so? I mean, if it's just like, hey, I like playing Tekken, I mean, does that count? I play No More Heroes 3.
Absolutely.
Happened yesterday, happened earlier, kind of thing.
Absolutely, man.
Yeah.
I don't really have one thing. I when I'm not playing fighting games and I have downtime, I hang out with a friend or family. I read, I write, I play other video games. I feel like I'd have a lot of stuff, and if it was like any one thing, I would get bored of it pretty fast, I think. So I don't have. I've been fiddling with this friggin' 3D printer for the last 6 months on my downtime. So
it feels more like a year you've been going.
It's been about 6 months at this point.
Jeez.
Yeah, I know. But that process of fiddling with it, I really enjoy. So I really want to have variety, and that's what I make sure to do.
Speaking of fiddling, my favorite thing is to fiddle with my cookware. I really like cooking, so I do a lot of cooking. I don't know, man. I play a lot of games. I'm actually a really busy individual nowadays.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, I stream 4 days a week if you count this. Sometimes on the weekends. I have a secret thing I'm working on that you guys will probably never. I mean, you two will know about it. Other people will probably never know about. But it's for a tournament that I care about. So that has me really busy. I have other things in the works that are like I don't have a lot of free time anymore. So I don't know. It's weird for me to say that because I've never looked at myself as the type of person that like works hard, whatever the hell that looks like, I guess. But I guess I am that guy now all of a sudden, and it keeps me pretty busy. I mean, it makes me appreciate my Saturdays and Sundays more, I guess.
Sure, dude.
But even then, like I'm like hanging out. I'm probably cooking something new if I'm in the mood for it. Like reading comic books, playing Gunfire with you and Keats and etc. Like, I have plenty to do. Like I'm not. There's not like a point where I'm like, man, I haven't done that thing I love in a long time, unless it's like go to a tournament, like stuff that we can't do really right now.
Actually, one of my favorite things that I love to do that's not the fighting game, I'm gonna do right now.
It's a kitty cat. Look at that
There's
big
Miles.
boy. Oh no, he's disappeared into the fog. Oh,
Right.
aw. My little kitty cats are outside of the office right now, so I don't have access to.
He was asleep. He's very confused. Hi, baby.
Yeah. Jasmine is still on my lap, by the way, so I have both of the cats over here.
I definitely agree with you guys. This is an important thing as well. Cuddling with kitties.
Agree.
All right.
Agree. All right.
Move on.
Next question from this one is from Tavi Turnip. Are cheese and peanut butter foods that one should proudly eat straight from the container instead of putting onto other foods asking for a friend?
That one should or can, because there's a difference here.
Whatever. What do you prefer?
I think both ways are appropriate.
Dude,
like there's not a human in America that's not gone to their fridge and opened up their Kraft pre-shredded cheese and shoved it in their mouth at 3 a.m. All right, everybody's done that. I can't say the same maybe for peanut butter, but I can imagine it. Why not? Peanut butter's delicious. Dude, take a spoon, boom. Yeah, there you go. Peanut butter. Like I don't see why not. But also, these things on other stuff is incredible. Like both is the answer.
You're right.
Because I eat cheese and peanut butter all the time. Like not peanut butter less so than I used to, but both of those things are delicious and can be eaten by themselves. Nathan is just like he looks like he's falling asleep. He's falling asleep is what
good night,
doing.
baby.
Sleepy boy.
I eat a lot of cheese. My wife and I have a cheese guy that we go to at the local farmers market.
You have a cheesemonger?
We do have a cheese guy who we go to.
You're also the whitest person I know now. You're the nerdiest person, and you're Jewish, and you're still somehow the whitest person I know now because you have a monger.
I have a monger.
You have a monger of any sort. That's incredible.
We have the cheese guy, we have the strawberry guy, and we have the bread company. Those are
you have several mongers. What is this?
Just because he's white and nerdy.
Exactly. Yeah.
White and nerdy. Because he's really white and nerdy.
There's nothing wrong with them, man. It's just you don't think about it.
I eat that cheese by itself because it's for breakfast. I'll just make I will cut up some cheese and eat the cheese, and I'll have the bread that we got, and I'll have the strawberries that we got, and it's like a great, great breakfast. So anyway, quit being weird, everybody. I also really like peanut butter, and I eat it all the time, both with things and also just by itself. I'm a fan of Laura Scudder's brand.
Getting a spoon of peanut butter and just chomping away at that spoon is delicious.
Damn, I'm the fattest guy here, and I've never done that.
I got a cheese guy.
Really?
That's right.
I'm gonna try it now. I've never done it. I mean, it sounds good. I like peanut butter. Why not?
Peanut butter is delicious.
What else do we got here?
All right. Subatar.
Yeah, we're way past time.
Yep.
All right. Subatar asks, strangest vehicle tool machine you can confidently say that you can expertly operate. Whoa.
Silk screening press for t-shirts.
Oh, cool.
A manual old school silk screening press for t-shirts.
That's a great answer, actually.
I'm gonna say my 3D printer,
At an expert level?
which is currently broken, but
Wait,
but I know exactly what's broken. I know that it's right between the nozzle and somewhere in the heat block. There's a little bit of a blockage, and all I got to do is just flush out the blockage, which I also know how to do at this point. So
I sound like a doctor
yes,
right now.
because it's broken doesn't mean that I'm not an expert at it. In fact, knowing how to solve the problems with it means that I'm an expert. So if you think about it, when it's broken, I get to show off my expertise.
I think it means you're an expert Googler.
Nailed
That's
it.
what I think
Nailed
it.
it.
I can shrink wrap things. I know how to shrink wrap things. I don't know if that
All right.
actually counts.
Sure, why not?
I've changed my car's tires before. I don't know. I guess I don't have a good answer for this one. All right. Let's just move on.
The 3D printer's working. I showed off the little prototypes that I had earlier.
Oh, no. Oh, there we go. All right. So, Deadeye Dave asks, video game that you are best at that is not a fighting game. I think everybody should know my answer on that question right there. That is clearly Tetris, dude. Tetris. Oh, God, I'm Tekken. I'm not very
Outer
good.
Wilds. It's definitely Outer Wilds. Dude.
Oh, God.
That is your best game, dude.
Freaking physics, dude. Actually,
Absolutely, it's Outer Wilds.
it's interesting. There was a revelation I had about that recently. It's just like probably has to do with the fact that my sense of direction is really bad because of the left-handed, right-handed switching and stuff like that, and why I get so motion sick at like those Universal Studio rides and stuff like that.
Sure.
And when I do virtual reality, like I get super sick. So like in a game where you're meant to move in 360 directions and you can't feel your physics and I can't get that feel relation, like it just turns me into complete uselessness.
I don't have a good answer to this because I don't play other video games to get good at them. That sounds maybe silly. But yeah, if I'm playing another game, I'm not being competitive at it. And part of the reason that I'm playing another game is because I don't want to be competitive at the moment. So I'm not like looking for the coolest things to do. I'm not looking for the optimal stuff to do necessarily. I'm not being like a slouch. I'm not like purposely doing bad, but I'm also not going to like optimize as much as I can. So I don't know that I have a good answer to this really.
I think my most recent answer, and I guess it probably doesn't really count, would be Brawlhalla. I was pretty strong at that game. But it's still pretty much a fighting game,
I was
right?
good at like Warcraft 3 1,000 years ago. Like I've been good at other games, but
Yeah. But I mean, I'm just thinking like something that I played recently, like I went hard on, was like 5 years ago. It would probably be Brawlhalla. Previously, it would have been Madden. I was real good at Madden. I was real good at All Pro Football. Like sports games, I used to have a knack for. I don't really care anymore.
Yeah.
Like, there's multiple reasons why I don't play them competitively anymore. I'm trying to think. Like, there's other things. Like most games that are multiplayer, I'll try at least a little bit to be good, just to see if I like the game at that level, right?
Again,
like
Tetris,
I don't want to.
Tetris doesn't have to be competitive, right? So I mean, it's just
It doesn't. Yeah.
Is there something out there that not even necessarily a competitive game?
No, because if I play a single player game, it's like Dread. It's just like a single player game that I don't care if I'm good in someone else's eyes. Like I'm not a speedrunner.
Right.
Yeah.
So like I don't like try to be great at those games. I just play them and enjoy them as they come.
Agreed.
Okay.
So I guess Rocket Arena, best Kai NA world, retired best Kai.
You were absolutely one of the top 10 Caillou players in the world.
I
What
was
happened to
absolutely
that
at least
game?
top 2. Dude, it just never found an audience.
Yeah, it was a great
okay.
game that just never got really picked up.
It probably should have been free to play. Like there had some issues there.
Okay.
But yeah, it just
Alright.
never really found an audience.
Stephanie Brownback via Twitter asks, if the three of you were bosses in a Mega Man game, what would your name and powers be? I mean,
what are Ultraman's powers?
I was already in Mega Man 2, Woodman, right? I mean, no, I'm just kidding. Worst name for a Mega Man boss ever, by the way. So,
I pronounced it Woodman.
Yeah,
Woodman,
it was
like a last name.
you can't.
Woodman.
Dude, you can't.
I've been doing that since I was a little kid because I thought it was hilarious. I'm growing up in this Jewish area, well, not Jewish area, but with Jewish friends and family, and they all have, not all, some of them have last names that end in mun, and I was like, oh, this is Woodman, this is Heatman, all these guys. I always thought that was funny.
Oh, God.
Gutsman.
I think
Good old
Weedman
Is there
is
Tackle
pretty
Man?
good. Tackle Man.
Yeah, that would be me.
That's a good one, actually. Tackle Man.
And I would be tackling. I would be dressed up like a football player, and I'd be tackling, and I'd have rockets that shoot out of my butt that make me tackle real fast.
That's actually pretty cool.
That sounds like it could be an actual character.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, you're
right?
welcome. You're welcome, Capcom. How about you make a Mega Man 12, or better yet, an X9? Tackle Man, you can put him in X9. You have my permission.
Tackleman.
You can't put him in Tackle Man in X9. It would have to be Tackle Rhino.
Oh yeah, sure, whatever. Make it
Right.
an animal. I don't care.
Yeah. Or Tackleed Rhino or whatever, because they tried to go.
Exactly.
Duff
I like
McWhalen,
those.
dude. Duff McWhalen is still the best one, dude. What about you, David? 3D printer man?
Well, let's see. I'm gonna go with Brittle Who Man.
Here we go again. Just be Who Man. That's it. That's all you need to do is just be Who Man.
Brittle Who Man. My talents or my abilities are to my shoulders fall off, my arms fall off, and then they come.
Hey, no, you can
and
break into
attack you.
pieces and it'll miss, and then you form back together.
And then you
You can shoot your arms.
When
and
Mega
legs.
Man thinks that he's killed me and I've exploded into 1,000 bits, that's actually just everyday life for me.
That's a
and
Skullgirls
I
character,
I
right?
reconstitute myself.
Well, it's
I
a
will-
Mega Man character now.
I will be Catman,
Man.
and I will make you try to give Jasmine a bath, and that's my way of killing you, basically. So, otherwise, I would be
Good old
Tetramino Man. I'd be, what else could I be? Salt Man. There we go. I will
Isn't there
be-
actually a Salt Man? I feel like that's already one of the.
No,
bosses.
there's no Salt Man. There's no Salt Man.
Well, there should be.
Rage Man would be a good one, actually.
Rage Man could exist. Yeah, that could be a thing.
Rage Man would work. I could do Rage Man. And again, I can tell you Salt Man doesn't exist because there was still the one time I was sitting there at work, just doing my work, and Justin Wong gives me a phone call, and I'm like, what the hell? What is Justin calling me for? Pick up the phone, and he's like, quick, James, I'm in the middle of a video game trivia contest. Name me the 3 Mega Man characters from the original series that have time stop powers. And I was like, Flash Man, Time Man, and Centaur Man. He's like, thanks. And I just, that was it.
What a guy.
It's that easy, dude.
You know how sometimes you're not sure.
Actually,
if
it wasn't Time
memories
Man
are
at the
real or
time.
not?
Time Man is from Mega Man, the remake. Who was the other one? It was God. Now I feel bad because
Wow.
I can't remember.
Speaking
I've
of
gotten
time,
confused.
man.
Wow.
Okay,
yeah,
okay,
I know.
okay.
I know.
Sorry.
Nice work.
It still was there. I had to take it.
do
That's
we
the
got?
last one.
Oh,
Oh, we did it. Good job, guys.
I temporarily believe that in my memory that I submitted a character to the Nintendo Power Mega Man contest where you could design a character and then
Right, yeah.
Capcom put it in. You know how sometimes when you're a kid you're
yeah.
not
Bright
sure
Man.
what's real or not? Like, was it a dream or was it a memory? There was definitely a period of time where I was like, yeah, I thought I got Hard Man in. Like, what do you think?
I mean, look, I would believe that.
Hard
if-
man, huh?
I made Hard Man.
Yeah. No, it was Bright Man. That's right. Thank you, guys. Thank you. That's who it was. It was Bright Man. Flash Man, Bright Man, and Centaur Man were the ones.
Anyway, thanks for joining us for the Ultra 10 Tuesday show.
We did it,
David's like,
boys.
I can't give a crap about that. Anyways, let me play some birds for people. Where's the birds? There they are.
There they are. You did it.
Yay. Thank you guys for watching. We will see you guys next time. Peace out.
I hope that these eyebrow things are making sense in the context, because I'm nailing the tempo perfectly. I just want you guys to know. I don't know if it's coming off like that, because it has to go through the internet to get there. For me, it was an excellent job.
Good on my end.